Speak into the mic.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, the Highland Park Board of Education has given adequate notice of this meeting by having published the date, time, and place of this meeting in the Home News Tribune and has posted notice of this meeting at Bartle School, 435 Mansfield Street, Highland Park, New Jersey. Can I have the roll call, please, Linda?
Ms. Aversa?
Here.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Here.
Ms. Bull?
Here.
Ms. Cimarusti?
Here.
Mr. Dietz? Mr. Ross? Ms. Sherber?
Here.
Mr. Sherman?
Here.
Mr. Wharton?
Here.
Can everybody rise for the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 6, 2014, open and closed session meetings?
So moved. Second.
Are there any comments? Linda, roll call, please.
Ms. Aversa?
Abstain.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Abstain.
Ms. Cimarusti?
Yes.
Ms. Sherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes to executive and abstain from public.
Linda, do you have any communications for the board?
The board received a few emails. Let's see. There was one email that came through from a member of the public thanking the district for putting the newsletter together.
Okay.
Appreciating that. There was an email regarding the artificial turf, which was actually referred to the borough. And there was an email regarding gym classes and regarding the HPEA contract.
Thank you. Mr. Soto, can we have the superintendent's report, please?
Yes, we'll begin with the student update.
Okay, so the first thing we wanted to talk about was Spirit Week. That was earlier this month. So Spirit Week was conducted without a problem. All the grades celebrated class and school spirit while still being respectful. The seniors won the Spirit Hall and Spirit Week overall. We'd like to mention that the seniors' theme for Spirit Hall was the 60s, and it included a wall handmade by the students dedicated to those in Highland Park who lost their lives during the Vietnam War. And it parallels the memorial in Washington, D.C., which we thought was important because it shows students' awareness of like what's been going on in the world. Additionally, students enjoyed homecoming game and the homecoming dance with almost 200 students attending, which is an increase from previous years. We also renewed the old tradition of homecoming king and queen for 12th graders, prince and princess for 11th graders, duke and duchess for the 10th, and count and countess for the 9th. We have some exciting sports news. The girls cross country, they are undefeated and they won the Blue Division Championship, which is the first time in 18 years. Wow. And they're going to be participating in GMC Championships on Saturday, October 25th. Girls tennis, they won the gold division after defeating Carteret on Friday, and this is the first time that they've won the division since 2006.
So we have a few things in progress right now. Our student congress, after planning for the dance and the game, they're looking to bring back the tradition of the haunted house. Right now we're just we have just rough ideas about where to put the haunted house in school. Also, Student Congress is looking into possibilities for this year's service day, where various school clubs work with larger organizations to provide some type of service, whether that be recycling, letters to troops, and etc. And also, we're going to possibly incorporate the Highland Park First Aid Squad, so that's going to be exciting. Also, some policies and issues that we've made progress on are that the Chromebook issue seems to have largely subsided. They're working very well, and they're being used in classes regularly. Also, me, Amy, and I are in the process of submitting a new survey for a review on students' opinions on how to improve the high school website, and we'll be giving that to Lassiter and soon get that running.
Thank you. Okay, the gifted and talented presentation scheduled for today has been postponed for the next board meeting. We're going to enhance that presentation a little bit more, so you'll be getting it in 2 weeks. Just a quick update regarding gifted and talented program. Wendy Amsterdam met with the parents on Thursday the 16th. She presented the program. She presented the different types of units, all of the enrichment opportunities for the students, the learning fair at the end of the year. She did a hands-on project, a learning project with the parents. They had to create a modular origami, and so she had the parents problem solve creatively how to put these pieces together. It seemed to be very successful. There was a successful Q&A. Parents seemed to be very satisfied and were quite positive. She also rolled out a few of the trips that they're going to be taking. One of the concerns that have been expressed by parents is the cost factor of some of the trips, and that's something that we're really looking at. We want to make sure that we include as many kids as possible to go on these trips. Not all of our families will be able to afford some of these trips, so we're looking at more mechanisms of how to make them a little bit more affordable. We will be talking to the PTOs to help fund some of these events. We're looking at how many of the students are Title I students that maybe might receive additional funding through our Title I funds, so we might be able to tap into that. In addition to that, there's going to be numerous fundraising events to make these trips a little bit affordable. The bottom line here is we want to extend and be more inclusive of the program.
I'm sorry, Mr. Soto, can I ask for clarification? Do you mean including the whole student body in a trip, or just the G&T students? Because I think one of the concerns...
Right, G&T, and because part of the concern is that we want more kids that are not necessarily G&T to participate in trips also.
Right, so you are talking about extending, if the
We would
G&T
like
wanted to do a trip, then the whole
absolutely.
grade would take a trip. Okay, because I know that was one of the...
It's not,
Okay.
we don't want to have a program that is very exclusive just to G&T kids. We want to create more opportunities for other students to participate. And so that's something we've been talking about, how to do a better job in that particular area. So,
right, because I did notice on the agenda tonight, we're actually approving something, I think, for the 22nd or something.
Right. So I spoke to Wendy about that, and I received several letters from parents that she did alert me that I believe all of them are going, but there was some concerns that it was a little expensive, and perhaps there were some parents that might not be able to afford it, but we already took care of that. We had an anonymous donor who gave the program some money, so we'll be able to defray some of that cost. I know the parents are going to be very happy from paying $56.50 to $25. That's cut in half. Right. And so we were able to do that. And through the PTOs and getting more people involved in raising these funds, all of these trips will be more cost effective. So that's an area that we're really looking at very diligently.
But that trip is just for the G&T students?
This particular trip is just for the G&T.
Right, but in the future, we're going to look
That's what we're shooting for, absolutely.
Trips being more inclusive.
Yeah. All right, that's the G&T. There was a concern raised at the last board meeting regarding the gym and the number of kids that are in the gym. I believe there were like 60, and some people felt it was a little dangerous, and there was a safety issue involved with that. I took the time to visit all of the schools, and I went and I saw gym in action. And yes, there are quite a number of students in the gym. However, it is manageable. We are very fortunate that we have excellent gym teachers. We would like to relieve them, have less students in the gym. That's something that I had a conversation with Kim Crane, and I know that the scheduling committee, they're working on that. So hopefully by December, when we roll out a schedule that's plausible, that will be included also to alleviate the gym teachers and create a safer environment for our kids.
So like reducing it back down to like 2 classes? I mean, is that the goal?
That's our goal.
Okay.
All right. That might be, well, I don't want to give all of the details, but certainly we've already hashed out a lot of ideas and how to work that out. So, but I saw it, and yes, we do have more than 50 students in the gym. All right. I met with the principals. They've alerted them, and they've also given them some strategies on how to work that out a little better. So the good thing is that I also saw paraprofessionals working very diligently with the kids. So they're not just there alone. They have paras also, at least the times that I was there. I don't know if their paras are there all day, but during my visits, I saw para presence. And not only just a body, they were actively engaged with kids. So that's good to know. Okay, so that's ESL. The ESL committee met with Bill Shalala, and they're continuing their work together. We had one particular, I know there was a particular concern of a number of ESL students that were placed in a given classroom. I think the number was originally 12, and then I heard 13. But no, the number is not 12. As a matter of fact, there were, more importantly, there were 5 particular students that were identified as speaking the same language, and we didn't want to have all 5 together. So 3 of those kids have been already moved to other classrooms, and so only 2 remain. So we're at that. I know the ESL committee is working very diligently in coming up with a very comprehensive plan, and I assured them that this ESL program here in this district will be totally revamped. So I'm excited, looking forward to their report back to my office. So I want to thank them for their diligence and their time, because they're spending an awful lot of time in coming up with a plan that's
Actually, can I ask you a quick question about that? That reminds me, the ESL, the curriculum conversation we had last week, or at the last meeting, as it intersected with the CUSAC stuff that we were filling out. The ELL curriculum that was written hasn't been, it looks like it hasn't been fully looked at. Is that something that committee could also look at? Is the curriculum
Oh, yeah,
for
if the
ELL?
committee is going to be, absolutely. If they're convening, there's something that they're going to be taking a look at also.
Is that part of their charge? I mean, do they know that that's part of their,
Well, their charge is to, at this point, I think what they're doing is they're identifying key areas that we really need to address, and they're identifying those key areas. Those key areas are going to be brought to my attention, and then from that point on, once a full assessment has been done, and an evaluation, then we're going to start working together in developing a plan of action. And that's hopefully, and I'm pretty sure if we have any of the committee members and they feel free to share their thoughts tonight, certainly you're welcome to do that. But yes. I also want to share the enrollment report for the month of September. Last year, as of from 2014, June 30th, we had 1,612 students. The totals for September 2014 is 1,605. So that's a decrease of 7 students.
So I'm sorry, that was in September?
Right, the report for September.
Do you know where they still, because I noticed this in one of the policies, there was some stuff that was language that was juggled about the October 15th. Like usually there's the October 15th.
That's enrollment.
Right. Yeah, but that's what I mean. But then some of that language seemed to get shifted. Do you know, has the state shifted something about doing October and 15th, or do you know, Linda?
Oh, Linda, would you know that?
We do a census on October
Right.
15th of every year. It used to be called the Application for State School Aid, ASSA. It has been incorporated into reporting through NJ Smart. So now the NJ Smart reporting encompasses a lot of student information, including the accounts, including information on special education students. They're consolidating a lot of information to the one report, but it is still a snapshot of October 15th.
Okay.
And it looks at a whole lot of pieces of data.
So the reporting has changed, but we'll still get the same kind of
It's-
idea
yeah,
of. Okay.
Yes, enrollment's still in there. We take a count of the students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch. We look at the teachings, the staff. There's information on the staff as well as students. Even students that are placed out of district, that information is reported on that report.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. And I just also want to thank the students as well, and the board looks forward to honoring both the cross-country and the tennis teams at a later board meeting this year. With that, I'd like to move to the curriculum and instruction update.
Okay, the curriculum committee did meet tonight. We first discussed the Touchstones discussion project pilot that will be taking place in grades 3, 6, and 8. A half-day training will take place on November 18th for all the teachers involved. There will be some invited community members who have been involved with some of this discussion already will also attend the training. We discussed benchmarking, and the new study island benchmarks will be used, and the reason they were chosen, and they were chosen by teachers and the principals, they were chosen because they are aligned to PARC and will give students practice with PARC-like exams. And we also talked about some curriculum issues. The new generation science standards have been adopted by the state. So what that means is that our science curriculum will need to be revised and aligned with the new generation science standards. We will need that for grades 6 through 12. That needs to be completed by September 2016. And the K through 5 science needs to be revised by 2017. On the agenda, we're approving field trips, student teachers, internships, and various not personnel, but various people associated with the Title I after-school program. And that is it.
Do you want to mention the correction?
When we move them, I would think we would, or do we make we're not moving anything right now. There's a correction, but we'll make it when we move the items.
I don't know the correction, no.
I thought everyone got the email.
I didn't get an email. I just got a piece of paper.
For the 3 policies?
What's the correction?
But we'll read it in when we move the items.
Otherwise, I would have talked to them.
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Are there any questions on the items? If not,
No, I do.
oh,
Can we talk a little bit more about the ESL teaching internships, junior practicum, how that's going to work? I can't help but notice that the students that are assigned to Irving and Bartle, it only lists from October 15th to November 19th, and that it looks like, they just kind of like rotate. I mean, how is that working? Yeah, I know, but in the middle school, it's like not until January and then in March, and then so I'm just wondering why such a short duration of time, what happens after that?
Yeah, because this is all, it's based on their cycle when they're available. And remember, these are volunteers. They're doing it because these are ESL students, and they want to gain more opportunities to gain additional experience working with small groups. So I guess it's by cycles. After that cycle, we'll probably get a new cycle of kids coming in. Right now, I'm meeting with Mary Karan and a couple of other people from Rutgers University, as a matter of fact, this month of the 24th, where we're going to be getting additional insight as how that is going to pan out.
right.
Right.
This is coming to us free of charge.
Free of charge.
I know, but I mean, this has kind of been put out there as support for these ESL classes, and this kind of sounds like just
This is
a
support.
very short term, kind of a big parade of students going through. It's not like having a student teacher in your class that's one consistent person. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
We'll take a little baby steps. We want to make sure that we solidify our partnership with Rutgers University. We've opened those doors. They're very interested, and we're very excited to have them. So we're taking little baby steps.
but generally, student teachers are a teacher in a class.
I'm sorry, these are not student teachers. These are interns.
These are
Student
interns.
teachers are paid as well.
No, they're not.
Not. Student
No, they're
teachers
not.
are not paid. No, the cooperating teacher sometimes is paid.
Now, I'm just wondering how this is going to actually work on the ground in the classrooms for the teachers and the kids, if it's, Just wondering if we had more information on that.
Finance and facilities, please.
The Finance Committee did meet tonight. In addition to the agenda items, we just talked about the Bartle window replacement project, which is still on track. The Irving School and Bartle School playground materials are here, and we anticipate the repairs starting soon. The high school sign has been erected and will be operational shortly. And we also spoke about the foreign students and having them come into the district. The business office has been contacted by several individuals that work on these kind of programs. So we'll probably be talking to those individuals about what they're really offering, and there'll be a broader discussion about how that fits into our into the high school program in the 12th grade, what student enrollment figures are, and also class scheduling would be in connection to that.
Are there any questions on the finance and facilities report?
I had one about 20 and 24, which looks like they're two troubleshooting and replacing existing junction boxes. Oh, wait, no,
Yep.
that wasn't the one.
Purchase of a server.
Purchase of the server is
Right, district server,
Yeah.
right.
Which number is
And-
that?
20 and 24.
Linda said that this is a server to support, well, standardized testing and network expansion. It's not only for preparation for park testing, but really is to support large groups, and so is 24, the support of large groups in one area, so that the draw on the the draw on the wireless network is not it can be satisfied. It's not so as dispersed. If you've got a lot of people in one place, you need to be able to provide the bandwidth for that.
Right, and I guess I was just wondering, is that money that's already been allotted for our technology budget this year, or is this money in addition to money that's allotted for our technology budget?
Linda?
This is in the, being
In the budget.
in the technology budget.
Okay, so is that going to, was it a planned expense, or is it something where like, oh, wow, we like actually don't have the bandwidth to put 100 kids on this at a time to do the park, so?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I think that as things develop, we identify areas of weakness, and we are trying to remedy them.
Right.
That's exactly the way it happened. As things were developed, we had a conversation with Barry Eccleston when she gave the presentation, and she referenced that we needed the bandwidth and the equipment appropriate to meet the needs of these kids for park testing. We weren't ready, and so based on that needs assessment, this was an area that we identified and then we addressed.
But this will have dual purposes as well, correct? Absolutely.
Don't we in the first year have the option for pencil and paper tests? Have we looked into that option? Have we considered that option? Because we're always, I know, trying to increase our technology budget, stretch our technology budget. I believe for the first year that's an option. And
But why would we do that if we can do the technology?
I would tell you why we would do it. My husband happens to work in a district that tested park last year, did the trial, and even with, a pretty significant technology infrastructure, they had a really hard time. The most well-prepared districts had a hard time with the technology. And, we've done a lot of talking over the last year how we haven't started off as the most well-prepared district in terms of technology. So if we're kind of starting off kind of behind the starting line and we're trying to race to catch up, we're racing to catch up for a standardized test that maybe we'd be better off served using the money somewhere else this year, and then looking at how it goes for other districts this year. This is the first year. This is a big question mark for most districts. I would like to know that we've fully investigated the idea of doing a paper and pencil test this year, not dedicating this kind of money right now if we don't need to, and then, giving ourselves a little bit more time to plan.
This has dual purposes.
Well, we just got a report from the students saying we're using our Google Chromebooks, they're working great. I think if there were network issues and they weren't able to get on and they were getting bumped off or whatever, we'd probably hear about it.
Right, except when we're looking to expand that beyond just the classroom, in the one classroom. I think this is what's preparing us to be able to do more with our technology. So, is there anything else in finance and facilities?
On tagging onto that a little bit, I think it's a separate item number. It's item number 19. I think you were talking about 24 and 26, Darcy.
Yeah.
Was it 19?
20 and 24.
Okay. So, it was 19?
Yeah, 19 is
Okay.
correlated to 20.
Right. It would be interesting to know exactly how the server is going to be used. I get the bandwidth, but the server in that kind of price range, it would be interesting to have more detail from Brian.
Any other questions? Can I have the personnel report, please?
Personnel Committee met tonight, and we mainly discussed the agenda items, which included maternity leave, a couple of hires, and some additional resignations that will, I guess, appear on the next agenda.
Yes, they will.
Oh, we didn't do an addendum?
No, we did not.
Oh.
Okay, no. Policy.
Wait, can we have
I'm
questions?
sorry, questions.
I have a question on number 3. I don't know why I thought it was, the extra pay was 1/6. Is it 1/5? Okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
And then I have a question on 9 that also relates back to, part of 9 was put on the curriculum report. It looks like the school psychologist that we're hiring, who's coming out of the teen center, she looks like she's going to be partially school psychologist, partially still in a teen center. Can we talk, how that's going to work? Are we replacing somebody in the teen center? Are we...
So which item, what are you referring?
It's 9 on the personnel agenda and... Sorry.
7 on the,
Yeah, 7 on the curriculum agenda. So reducing her hours, it's reducing her down to 8 hours a day or 8 hours a week from 40 hours a week in the teen center, and then making her a 4/5 employee, I think, as a school psychologist, or 80%? Yeah, so 4/5.
yeah.
Are we looking into getting somebody else for the teen center? How's that going to work?
Do we have, well, I think, yeah, I think this will make them, yeah. I think we can ask Ms. Asamoah, we can ask Ms. Asamoah if this needs are being met. I don't believe a request has come in to the administration for a new school psychiatrist, and I would assume that she approved this knowing the time difference.
Can we find out without assumptions?
Yep, we actually will. I don't see why, logically, I don't see why she wouldn't.
I mean,
Yep.
it's hard, we kind of go back to the how do you provide the same level of service with less people, less hours. So, we talk a lot about the services at the teen center, what they provide, there's an increased, we've put an increased burden on the teen center this year. We need to make sure we have all hands on deck.
It's also very easy to replace services with, it's about the amount of time, how filled a person is during the day. They could still provide the same amount of services, though.
In 8 hours versus 40?
It depends. Okay.
That doesn't make sense.
As Policy and Regulations Committee, we did not meet tonight, but we do have a number of policies to approve tonight. We've gone through the second readings ones last week, so I don't want to go through them again unless anybody has any specific changes. And the first readings as well you've had them in your packets, and then I don't see the need to go through each one.
Right, there were 2 policies that we tabled.
Yes.
So
Claire,
they
can I have that?
should be struck from the...
Yeah. So there are a number of policies that 3 policies, right, that were remanded to the curriculum committee that are on the agenda tonight that will be tabled. 2417, 2481, and 5200.
So you're saying we are not discussing those tonight?
Correct. Those should be discussed in the curriculum committee at their convenience.
And in addition, 1230 and 12, I'm sorry, I think it was 1230 and 1240. Last time we sent back to policy, and I don't think anything happened with those.
Right.
Yeah,
because
but that's why they're
the
not.
policy committee didn't meet
That's
tonight.
not why
Right.
that's why they're not on the agenda.
Right. Okay. No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what's happened a couple of times now is we've had policies, they get tabled, and then they kind of float off into the ozone.
Yep. But they will all be approved by the end of this board cycle anyway, so that's the deadline. Are there any comments on the policy agenda?
On the first
So are we
reading?
talking on first reading?
Let's talk about first reading first. I don't want to go through each one like we did last time, but if there are any comments on anyone, please let us know.
Are we doing the ones for first reading first?
Yes, one's for first reading first.
So I was interested that none of the personnel policies were mandatory. They seem to be statutory. Many of them refer to statute.
Yes.
But they didn't have Ms. Why is that? We don't.
We're usually informed by Strauss Esme as to when a policy is mandatory. It may be that the law requires it to be made into a policy. Other times, the policies are simply like operational policies, and they refer to the statute as a referential piece of information, but they're not required
I see.
However, it's appropriate to have them as policies.
Okay. So we had a couple that we need, there are like,
Select-
one from column A, one from
Yep.
column B, like 30, 20, 32, 70.
And 0168 as well.
Okay,
So let's, I guess, address 0168 first.
right.
Wait, can we start with 0165?
Yep.
I had a question on the second page, 3B.
Yep.
It says a majority vote of the full membership of the board is required for adoption or alteration of a course of study, NJSA 18A 33-1. Like how, I mean, I feel like we need to kind of take a look at that and how literal that regulation is, because we've made, I feel like in the last year, we've made a lot of alterations to courses of study without there necessarily being any board vote.
I don't think,
I mean,
I don't-
before I would want to move this for first reading, I would want to know that we've fully looked at what,
you're talking about our procedure versus what the policy has to be moved with that. You have no option on that.
right, okay.
So we can talk about a procedure, but I don't see why we would be in violation of that. And curriculum is a course of study, is it not? No? Okay. All right.
Wait,
So I'm-
what? I don't understand. What's the answer to Darcy's question?
The answer to Doris' question is she's talking about procedure of this district, not what can be in this policy.
Adam's saying this wouldn't prevent us from moving
Yeah.
this for first
This
reading.
policy-
It's just something we would need to look into in terms of our
this policy has to
procedure
be
as the board.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then I did just, on that same one, I had a question, and maybe, I don't know, Linda, if you have the answer to this, or if somebody else does. What's the difference between a vote of the majority of the board and a vote of the majority of membership?
The difference is who's here and who is an elected member of the board. So if there's 5 of us, a 3-2 vote would be a majority.
Yeah, the majority of the people in the meeting,
Yes.
the seated
So it's per session, right?
versus the majority of the full board, which means you have to have 5. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So majority of membership is just whoever's sitting here.
Yes.
Majority of full board is you need 5 votes, whether there's 8, 9, 5 people sitting at the table.
Correct.
Gotcha, thank you.
Like tacking on to that,
Yep.
the item 1, bullet 1, affirmative votes of 3/4 of the members present when adequate notice is not being provided. Is there even an opportunity to vote if adequate notice is not being provided?
There are times when you have to have an emergency
Emergency
session.
meetings, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, guys, these are all
Yeah.
referenced in statute. You're not changing anything in here.
just curious.
Next one. 0168.
This actually has some very interesting stuff in it.
All right.
It has a couple of options, and then,
Right, so let's take the options first.
I don't think we need to include the first option at all. We can, and then. Sorry. I don't think that we need to include the option at all. I think that leaves us the ability to record meetings both through minutes and through video,
Yeah.
and also not. And I think that there are occasions where we don't have a videographer.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that we want to obligate ourselves.
We don't want
that.
to. Okay.
so which part is, so
That's just the first
optional is the
We just get
electronic
rid of the
recording?
optional. We don't have to include it at all.
Right.
So for this first part, you're saying not include any of that?
Yep.
Okay, what about,
And where does
What's
that
on the
stop?
back?
And then the second one is optional and executive session. That's the second optional piece. It's at the bottom of the first page.
And it's just the word executive session.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I would, it's my view that we should
Yeah.
probably not include that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would we not want to commit ourselves to recording the meetings in some
Because we do.
way, shape, or form?
We do different types of meetings, and the videographer is an expense to us. Like at the board retreat is never a recorded meeting.
Right. I mean, obviously, we have no problem recording the
Yeah.
meetings. I just don't want us to be ever in a position where we didn't have a videographer and, as a consequence, are in violation of our own policy by continuing with the meeting. There will always be minutes, it's not,
There will always be notice. Yep.
I mean, have we ever been in that position?
yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would only take us through, we still have to choose what we're doing with the recordings that we do have.
Right.
But, wait a second. So on the first page, it says, "And as an administrative aid in the preparation of minutes, the recording shall be."
Right. Either retained or,
So then we have to choose one of these things?
Yes.
Or we're not going to do
Which
any of
page is-
that?
No, yeah, on the second page, we have to choose one of those.
Okay, but I thought we said,
This is a different optional.
no, it's
No,
a
it's a
continuation of the
continuation.
executive session sentence.
You sure? Isn't it just the bracket? I never can tell. I never tell how they put this together. I thought it was just the bracket was the.
It's referring to a recording that you just struck out.
Well, we didn't strike it, we just didn't make it mandatory.
So you think the next option, the next thing that should follow, if we do not include the option, should be the recording by the public? That's what you think should go.
but don't we, I mean, we often do make tapes, so don't we have to spell
Right, that's
out?
why, but
I
that's
mean-
why I don't think that they're included. I think these are different.
So what is the end of that sentence? As an administrative aid in the preparation of minutes, the recording shall be. So are we striking that sentence?
We are not using that we are not using that sentence, it's my understanding.
And so that means we're not choosing anything on page 2 of 3?
No, halfway down the page, recording by the public, I believe, it probably ought not be in the bold. It probably ought not be in the bold. I think
Unless it's new.
I think that's the second, I think that's not associated with the first two paragraphs on
Okay,
that page.
so the recommendation is we're crossing out these 2 paragraphs, the first 2 paragraphs on page 2, and that other little paragraph, blank permanently preserved as a governmental record?
Yeah.
But those 2 sections deal with what we do with the tapes that we do have. Can we?
I think only in executive session, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only in executive
This talks
session.
about things with litigation, and we would never have litigation in open session.
So you think those 2 paragraphs are just referring to if we're recording executive session?
I
Okay.
originally did not, now I do.
You've been persuaded.
I'm sorry, I don't
No, it's not.
understand. I really don't understand what
All
we're
right.
saying.
We're not doing it, we're
I don't
not,
think
we're
I
not including
disagree, but-
any of the optional words, we are not including. The policy will read, the board secretary, on the first page, the board secretary shall provide each board member with a copy of the minutes prior to the board approval, and then go directly to recording by the public.
I think that's correct.
Okay,
Wait a second.
all right, waiting.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's talking about litigation and,
This is just first reading, okay.
Yes. All right. 30, what was it, 30?
oh wait, no,
So
but
are
there's.
we done with this
If anybody-
policy?
Yeah, no. No. In recording by the public, there's a whopper in there. The second paragraph says, "The board will permit the use of video recording devices only when notice of such intended use has been given to the board secretary in advance of the meeting."
So let's delete that paragraph.
Okay, done. All right.
Sorry, not to belabor this,
Yeah.
but coming back, so even though it's not going to be, we're basically not locking ourselves in with it being a policy, when a video recording is made, does that constitute public record at that point?
Yes, it does, and I believe it says that in this policy.
But do we then have to address, even if it's rewording, do we then have to address retention of that? Or does that get
No.
locked?
No, that's an individual.
These are getting
Only to
strict.
the-
Yeah.
And they refer only to the executive session, if we were going to record executive session.
You see, the last paragraph says that it's part of the public, if you're operable if, the last paragraph. All right?
Yeah.
So, that's fine, we'll delete that paragraph. Linda, do you have that? Okay. Where was the next select, oh, right here. 3270.
Right.
Wait a
Wait,
second, I'm
3126, there's something that's optional. You can't.
Wait, I'm still on 168. The next paragraph at the bottom of page 2 of 3, any video recording device must be located and operated from inconspicuous locations in the meeting room as determined by the presiding officer of the meeting. Does that mean an individual? Like not
Yes.
the official one, but
Yes.
somebody just recording?
Yes.
So, but they don't have to tell you ahead of time?
No. No. This is a public meeting. We've never limited.
No, I'm just reading what the policy
Yeah, yeah.
says to make sure we're
Yeah,
not
I mean, this
inhibiting
does-
somebody's ability to record.
Right. This does give the president a kind of sweeping ability to just say, turn that off, you're bothering me.
I think you've got.
I think.
Can you just strike that?
No, I'm looking at the last paragraph on page 2 of 3.
That's actually not how I would have read it. I think all that it says is that a member of the public who's recording the meeting can't sort of stand here and block other, I think it's just a matter of doing it inconspicuously.
Well, yeah, I mean, that part I agree, but then there's the second paragraph on page 3 of 3. It says the presiding officer shall determine when the number of video recording devices or if an audio or video recording device interferes. So if audio or video recording device interferes with the conduct of a board meeting.
And
I mean, they could decide that for.
That needs to be in there. That needs to be in there.
Well, but that also can be kind of arbitrary. I mean,
But there's a lot of things that this chair decides that can be arbitrary, and it's determined by a case-by-case basis. The board president has to have the ability to tell a member of the public that they can't set up in front of our official camera,
yep. Agreed.
and that gives that person that authority. And I can't think of another way to add that. Okay. Next policy.
I don't think Claire's done.
No, I just want to make sure we're not inhibiting anything. So prior to the meeting,
You should have read, but these should be read before the meeting, so.
okay, but it's a question that I'm asking.
So what's the question?
My question is, have we taken anything out that will prohibit
No,
people?
no. And to my understanding, we've only taken out that second paragraph.
Which is the only thing that would have prohibited people from recording. So I think that the policy, as we have left it, permits, pretty much unfettered recording.
Yes. And this is only first reading, so we can address it if need be.
All right.
Next one, which comments was,
3270.
No, 3126 has an option in it.
Skip one.
So 017.
There's an option in 3126. And this is actually a kind of interesting one. Bottom of paragraph 3, optional. The district may, at its discretion, pay all or part of the mentoring fee. I think historically we don't do that for teachers. But I did notice a couple of board meetings ago, we did seem to put that into our superintendent contract, and moving forward, that's something I would certainly like to take a look at, whether that is, I don't know if that's customary or if that was just done in this case, or.
what would the cost of that be
It was, I think, $3,000?
for one person?
No. For the superintendent was, I don't think it's that much for a teacher.
I think it might have been 2,500.
Was it 2,500?
That's a large expense.
We provide
It is-
mentoring we provide mentoring for
If it's
it.
No, we don't pay for it.
This is a outside.
Oh, okay.
No. It's for a teacher getting a mentee in district.
Which is
Oh, we're
required.
talking about the mentor, okay.
Yeah, the payment for the mentor. Right, exactly. I mean, customarily, teachers pay that fee themselves. I was just bringing up the point that for the superintendent, we didn't seem to do it that way, and we paid that fee, and, so.
Or that was,
Okay.
this is
So we
for-
have to choose that option here. We have to say, we're not going to pay that. That's going to be,
Yes, I would agree with
incumbent
that.
upon the teacher.
Yes.
So cross out the optional
Correct.
part, is what you're suggesting, Darcy?
Yeah, so I think we just, yeah, because I think otherwise then it's assumed that the teacher's paying for it.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, and then I was just curious, Linda, this just brought up an interesting question. On 2 or 3, it says state funds appropriated for the novice teacher mentoring program. Is that something we actually get state funds for? We get so little in state funding, it's hard to imagine.
Where is that, Darcy?
I'm sorry, that's the first sentence of paragraph 3 on page 2.
I don't know where?
Page 2 of 3126, the first sentence of the third paragraph. The Board of Education shall be responsible to budget any state funds appropriated for the novice teacher mentoring program.
There was a time many years ago when the state did provide funding for this, and so we did apply that. Actually, this is the district I was in before this, so it was several years ago.
Right, yeah.
So there have been times when the state did pay funding for mentors fees.
And
So
clearly
that's-
those days are long gone, so we should
Yes,
just,
yes.
I mean, I kind of just want to take it out of the policy, just on principle.
Just in case they come back, though.
Yeah, I think that it's because it has been there in the past, and then just in case it ever happens again.
We'll cross our fingers.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Yep, no problem.
Sorry.
Yep, no problem.
At the last sentence of paragraph 2, if we're striking
What
the
page?
option- Sorry?
What page?
Page 1.
Okay.
Page 1, page 1, paragraph 2, yes.
If we're striking the option that we would pay, who enters into the contract? So, under the circumstances in which we're unable to provide the service, the mentoring service, as a district, it states that we can network. We can do so through a network of Department of Education providers. Who enters into that contract? Do we have to negotiate a contract with that network?
No, the
or
teacher enters into the contract with the mentor.
Thank you.
3270.
So
Wait,
we're
wait.
finished with this one?
Wait, why are you just
Can you say we're
flying
done
past
with
ones?
them when we're
Sorry.
done, Adam? That would help. Please.
Yep, we are done. Now 327. And does anybody have any other further comments? No. We are done. 3270. We need to fill in the review.
I'm sorry, you said we're done with,
Can you at least read out like the numbers of each one as we go? Like 3144, does anybody have any questions? Like, that might help everybody follow along.
Absolutely. So that was 3126. All right. Any comments on 3142? Any comments on 3144?
old
And-
one attached,
Any comments on 3144.3?
3144. Wait a second. Okay.
Any comments on 3159? Any comments?
Oh, yes. There is actually, and this is just housekeeping, there's formatting issues on 3159 where it looks like the number
Page.
5 that should be on the first page is on the second page, and then everything else has to move up.
Yeah, it's probably just the margins got shifted.
Okay. Yeah, just to point it out so it doesn't go through that way.
3232. 3270, we need to make some changes to. The optional parts would go to Israel. Does that sound good?
I would agree. Under the teaching staff members are expected to attend every faculty meeting unless expressly excused by the whoever, meaning the principal. The option could be a teaching staff member who is excused from the principal from attending a faculty meeting must meet with the principal or the designated person the following day to review the topics covered by the meeting.
What do we do now, Israel, do you know?
I'm sorry?
How is that handled currently, do you know?
I think they're just excused.
Yeah.
And not required to make up what they missed?
Exactly.
Okay, so this would be adding in that they have to make up what they missed?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
In terms of compliance with policy, is the following day too rigid? Should there be a greater leeway there?
I could agree. I could be amenable to that.
Yeah.
I mean, just within X number of days, or,
Within a school week.
A week.
Yeah, within a business week.
because otherwise we're gonna break our own policy.
That's fine.
There's so much pressure.
Yep, within a business week. The other ones.
And then don't we have to fill in,
The other ones?
like, no. there's like blanks in the policy.
That's what I'm moving to. Let me,
Oh, okay.
let me get there.
You're going
so
up.
we're going to take them from that. I just wanted to fill the optional, and now
Gotcha.
we're going to go down. So I would assume that the building principal would go there.
I'm sorry, which one are we on, Adam? Which blank?
3270, first
Yeah.
blanked down.
Okay. Lesson plans will be periodic by the principal.
Principal or designee. I would say the same for the next, or do you want that to come to your office?
Number 3?
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah, that's fine.
As the principal?
Yes.
Principal or designee, Linda, please? Any objection?
Principal or designee, or principal?
Principal or designee?
Okay, let's go. 2 would be principal or designee as well.
Yes.
We are going to include the optional as principal or designee in the blank.
Excuse me, would that become number 3?
That would become number 3, and 3 would become 4.
No, you're just picking 3. There would be no 4.
I
The
think
optional one is
the
going to
optional
become
becomes
3. You're saying the optional one becomes 3, so the one that's currently written as 3 would become 4.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
It's clear.
And for the new number 4, is that also going to be principal or designee?
Yes. Although.
So I have a question
Yes.
regarding.
Yes.
Just a quick question regarding this policy.
Yes.
So what is the rationale from having a,
So we are, all right.
Pardon, let Israel
Go
go.
ahead.
Go.
You go, Israel, sorry.
so my question is, for teaching staff members may not leave the school grounds during mealtime without the express permission of the
Yeah.
principal?
No.
So my question is,
Hold on. Let him go.
yeah, so what's the rationale?
Do you have? Is that something that you would recommend?
No.
Then let's take it out.
So, yeah, so there's no 4.
Yes. 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 Free lunch.
Kind of funny, an open campus for students.
Yeah. Oh, you know.
Teachers, you may not
Yep.
go out
All right. Moving on.
unless Israel gives you the...
Done. 3373.
I'm coming to your house.
So I was curious about this. Have we ever had a situation where this actually happened, where we gave tenure to a teacher transferring in? This struck me as odd, this policy.
I don't remember a situation like this. Should we table it?
I would like to table it.
So then this goes to the Personnel Committee.
And I think the following one as well, the tenure transfer upon
Yep.
into an underperforming school.
Yep.
Both of those I thought they were weird.
Okay. So Linda, we are going to table. We are going to table 3373 and 3374. Got me? 4124. 41. Yep.
The change, striking will and putting may, it strikes me that it could become very subjective. And the beauty of having, sorry, am I in the wrong one?
No, you might be on the right. You just got time.
4124, the employment contract?
Yep.
So paragraph 3, forwards in with striking will, substituting with may. It then becomes subjective, and policies are kind of there to protect, the district as well as the individual. I think I would leave it at will rather than exchanging it for may. It becomes too subjective, and who you do it for and when you do it.
He's talking about... Take this will, or leaving the will in and taking out may.
I think.
So whether it's you name it, gender, race, orientation, whatever difference you may bring to mind, if just it can be done just with complete absence of thought, if it gets included in one contract but not in the other, and there's any kind of hint of discrimination, and where it could have been just completely a lack of thought rather than malicious. I just think I think that, you know,
Okay.
I wouldn't leave it subjective.
Israel, do you have a view about this?
Yeah, kind of, you know. You mean include the will?
Include the will.
Yes, I agree. I feel comfortable.
Okay. 41, 46. $42.83.
Hold on.
There's an optional part.
Didn't we look at this one last?
No, this is support staff.
Oh, but doesn't this need to kind of reflect this, whatever we decide for the teachers?
Yep,
Yeah, I think these two should be going parallel.
that's fine.
So what is this, what
I
do we
believe
do
we
with
Or
this?
table this.
I believe we tabled the other one.
Yes.
Tabled this one as well.
We'll go back to personnel.
Who does it go to?
Personnel.
Or for this one, no, sorry, this is personnel. Yeah.
We didn't table the curriculum.
No, actually, no, maybe, did we not?
Yeah.
Nope, we did not.
Wait a minute, yeah.
We did not.
Right.
We did not.
But we,
We
Are you
made.
sure?
Yeah, we decided that it was not, it was going to be the more, I think the majority of the board said that it would be the more protective one.
Are we talking about?
But there's some other stuff in there. Kim had brought up some issues with this one as well, because it's got the thing in there about being relatives, that the only exception would be that you're a relative with a student, and Kim was bringing up lots of other case scenarios where, you know, we have, it could be a godparent, it could be a this, like, that we would want to maybe think about including some less restrictive language in terms of teachers and students being able to have an online relationship. So I think we need to, I mean, if we can put that through for the other one for second reading and make that work, then fine, but, so you're right, it wasn't tabled.
Yeah.
It was moved, but it did have a lot of questions, other than just the options.
What is the board's feeling?
I mean, I agree with Kim. I mean, I think that part is a little restrictive, especially for the kind of community that we have. I
I'm
mean, we could
sorry,
have.
which part is restrictive? I wasn't here for the conversation last time, so I just-
Sorry, let me see if I can
No, no.
find it.
It was the optional parts.
Oh, just the optional, okay.
It will not in the one, she's talking about the one.
It's on page 5, Catherine, the second paragraph, second indented paragraph, a support staff member and student, and it reads the same for teachers, instead of it's teacher and student, may be exempt from the provisions outlined in this policy if a support staff member and student are relatives. The support staff member and the student's parent shall submit notification to the principal of the student's school policy of their family relationship and their exemption from the provision outlined in this policy. Now, like, to my mind, I was like, I wouldn't want to have to ask the principal, but Kim was saying she thought that that was fine, but wanted the language to be more flexible in terms of it being a relative. So I was thinking maybe what we could do is just strike out the part that says a support staff member and student, or a teacher and student, and just say they could be exempt from the provisions outlined in this policy if requested by the student's parent and the support staff member, or in the other one, if requested by the student's parent and the staff member, and then the teacher. So then it's just like, if you have a parent and a teacher who are in agreement that it's okay for this student and this teacher to have an online relationship, whether it's because they're next door neighbors or because, you know, like, who are we to judge, you know, why a parent and a teacher would think that's okay?
I think this is a very slippery slope. Very slippery slope, especially in this community.
Yeah,
With parental,
I'm inclined to err on the side of caution, but I understand what you're saying. I don't know.
I mean, I understand what you're saying too, but in this district, you can create, there are relationships that go beyond a student-teacher relationship in many situations, and it could be from somebody who you see at Stop and Stop, somebody who's a next-door neighbor.
well, I don't think that, you know, a parent who sees their kid's teacher at Stop and Shop is going to put in a letter saying my kid wants to be friends with their teacher.
Whatever it may be, the restrictive nature is to protect everybody. and to not create special circumstance.
Israel, do you have any thoughts about this?
Special circumstance, especially in this community, special circumstance. If we wanted to adopt a policy, we adopt it for everybody, not for everybody's great aunt and
Well, then we should take the relatives part out and make it as restrictive as possible.
I think that,
I mean, if you're going to use that logic, then it applies to everybody, because then it could be like, well, he's my second cousin twice removed on my father's side of my stepmother, you know? I mean-
Relative is defined by the state.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, dig up then we need to know exactly what we're saying. I mean, if we're saying the state defines what a relative is, we need to know exactly what that definition is.
What's a relative?
State?
Mom, dad, brother, sister. It's a relative in my.
What about a cousin or an aunt or uncle?
When we file our requirements, our financial requirements, relative is defined in there, or whatever the definitions are in there
It
of.
may not be, for purposes of this policy, it may not be, I don't know. I don't know. On the other hand, I think, erring on the side of caution here is probably the wiser path.
So I don't know that we can decide this now, can we?
Well, we have decided it in terms of option one.
What, we have?
If you look at the policy, if you want to mirror the teacher policy, I thought we went with option one in the teacher policy. Where's my?
You weren't here
I was here.
last time?
Yeah.
You weren't.
Yeah, I was. You were not here actually last time.
Yes, she was.
Oh, then we both were here. A teaching staff member.
Was that not last?
That was not last time.
I can remember. I don't remember deciding anything that we were all satisfied
No,
with.
you could still choose two. I mean, because one includes the principal could, say no, and, I mean, that's going uber restrictive.
What do you
You could
call-
still check so the first option starts on page 4, Claire.
That's number one.
That's right.
And you're saying we could still, so you don't want to choose, you're suggesting we choose which one, the second one or the first one?
The second one, yeah. I mean, if we're not going to modify it at all, as we've been asked by the union, then I would say.
But if you look at 3283, the way we're approving it tonight has the option one. And that's what the majority of the board agreed upon last time.
Well, but then we got.
I did not agree with upon it, but the majority of the board
But then
did.
we also got more input from
That's fine.
the president
So
of the union.
I also don't think that there was a majority of the board tonight looking to change that. As much as I would, as I said last time.
As much as you would what?
In terms of the less restrictive versus the most restrictive, I don't necessarily think that the principal needs to sign off, but the majority of the board last time decided that it should be that way, and so that's the way I'm pushing it through tonight.
I mean, I think we could reconsider that
We
because
can.
we had
I just
input
don't.
from the union and.
From my
I
sense
mean,
of this board, I don't have that feeling that there is that.
Well, I would certainly take that out. If no one else agrees, that's fine.
I'm
Alrighty.
trying to read option one in terms of if it does. Staff member request exemption.
I think the worry was, what if the principal doesn't approve it because they don't like the employee or the student? I think that's the worry that we heard from the union.
I would have more concern with my principal for doing that than anything else.
Right. So we would have to trust the principals to make the proper decision.
There is always
I think
there
we
is
have
always
to
a due
trust our-
process. There's
we have
always
to
a due
trust our
process.
administrators until they prove that,
Yeah.
until they prove that's not appropriate. But I think we have to trust our administrators.
I agree. We should trust our administrators. And if they don't, then a grievance would be filed.
A student can't follow a grievance, but yes, there is a due process, and eventually something would be elevated to us.
So with that being said, I would vote for the first option.
Okay. So that is my sense of the board, is that the majority believe that we should go with the first option, so I will recommend the first option for the support staff as well. Okay, 6480. $81.40. $83.30.
There's actually options in
Yep,
this one.
Page 3.
Yeah.
The district will or may?
I would absolutely say may in
May.
this case.
Yep, everybody okay with May? Yep. Okay. And that, I believe, is it. Oh, no, we have one more. 8461.
Well, this is a mandatory
Yeah.
policy, right?
Yep. So that concludes I'm just going to wrap this up. This concludes the policies for the first reading. Does anybody have comments on policies for second reading tonight?
Point of order.
Yes, absolutely.
The policies for first reading on the agenda end at 6480. Are we going to be reading in 8140 and 8330? It's not listed on the
Oh, they
agenda?
weren't on the agenda.
No.
No, you're not, I'm not referring to the agenda, I'm referring to the packet that I was given.
Yes, I am too, but you said these are the policies for
Yeah.
first reading, and they're not listed on the agenda. Do we want to include them on the agenda?
Everybody should have read them, so I don't see an objection why they would not.
Can
But
we-
the public,
Can we read them? Oh, because they weren't available.
I don't know that they weren't available on the website. I would assume they were, but they're just not listed on the agenda. So do we want to add them to the agenda as the 3 more policies?
I'm sorry, which policies are we talking about?
The list on the agenda for policies for first reading does not include 8140, doesn't include 8140, 8330.
Well, I think then we have to put it off.
Okay.
And,
Did we get them?
Yeah, they're in
yeah,
your
we
packet.
got them. They're in the packet,
we
but
all read them.
they're not on the agenda.
Right, however, the attachments were made available online and tonight
So
here.
we have enough board meetings to get it approved before the end of the board
So we'll
cycle.
just not move them.
We won't move that,
And have them for first reading next time.
and then have them for second reading the following meeting after
Right.
that, prior to it.
So that's the last 3 policies.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for catching that. Are there any comments on second read? I'm reading on policies for second reading.
I just had a typographical correction.
Okay.
On 5610 on the second page, it's core curriculum content standards, everything should be capitalized. The second page, the first paragraph on the second page. And 5611, there was just a missing, 5611 on page 1.
Do I read this in now? That
No.
aren't we looking at the second reading, where there's things that are not that are on the agenda that are not really should be part of the agenda?
I read that already. The 5,200 were remanded to the curriculum committee. I said that in the beginning of the report.
No, there's 2 other
Yeah.
policies.
I read it in the beginning of the.
You read 2417 and 2481?
Yep.
No,
You
he
read
said
them
that,
into
he
the
said, right, he
Yeah.
said we weren't going to address them because they had been tabled.
I sent that in the beginning of the policy committee report. I said that they would not be moved tonight.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, you're talking really fast, Adam. I'm sorry.
No, that's all. I'll try to slow down. Absolutely.
Okay, that would be great.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
So 5611,
Just the change. The edit.
there are just 2 little tiny things. In the second paragraph, second line, there's a comma in between grounds and convicted. Second paragraph, second line. On school grounds, comma, convicted.
Oh, you want to add it?
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. And in the last paragraph on that page, there should be a in between Commissioner of Education and report.
Any comments on second reading?
Are we just gonna?
I would prefer not to go through
Okay.
them each one. If you would like me to, I can.
Well, no, I wanted to just, if nobody else has any comments, I did want to talk a bit about this discrepancy we talked about last time, but then you guys said maybe I have a misunderstanding. For 2481 versus 5610, 2481 is home or out-of-school instruction for general education student, and then 5610 is suspension. So in 2481, in the first section where it says, where there's the B. Sorry?
They're tabled. Yeah.
Huh?
thing that was
It's tabled.
Oh, 2481 is tabled?
Yes.
Okay. Well, but can we still talk about this? Because if it's going to...
Which one do you want to talk about?
It's the...
2481 should not be talked about
No,
because
but
that's
it's the
gonna-
interaction of the two, and we're passing
You can
5610.
talk about whatever you want. I'm just saying 2481 might have a
That I understand.
much different look once it comes out of committee.
This won't change.
Okay.
B, it says the student is placed on short-term or long-term suspension from participation in the general education program. And then in 5610, we define short-term suspension, meaning a suspension for 1, but not more than 10 days. So we have a policy that's saying that we're going to provide instruction for any student placed on short-term instruction, and this says that short-term suspension, and this says that for short-term suspension, that means 1 to 10 days. So,
Can I just clarify something here? We don't do anything.
No,
I know, I just
we're
really-
passing policy,
Right.
yes, I know
The
that we
state-
don't read them, or
the
we don't
state-
write them.
The state defines these.
Okay, so then maybe I need to talk to the state, but that seems to be a contraindication, because we do not
Seems that way.
provide at-home services for students that we suspend for short periods of time, and that's a
Yeah.
Usually we
contradiction.
provide, well, I assume the students have to be provided with an education. I mean, at least in New Brunswick, I know
At all
that you
times.
have to provide work for the students to do so that they're not lost when they come back to class. Is that what we do in Highland Park?
We do that,
So,
Yes.
we provide work, but we do not provide home instruction.
which
Right.
is a
No.
whole different verbiage.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and this specifically says home or out-of-school instruction for,
We provide them out-of-school instruction.
Well, we provide homework, essentially.
I don't know that that's the same.
What does it say, Darcy? I'm not looking at the policy. so I don't-
The Board of Education, 2481, it says, "The Board of Education shall provide instructional services to an enrolled general education student at the student's home or other suitable out-of-school setting under the following conditions."
I have to say,
B, the student is placed on short-term or long-term suspension from participation in the general education program. And then 5610 defines short-term suspension as not, for 1, but not more than 10 consecutive days.
Well, Adam's correct. We have tabled this policy, so,
Right.
and although I understand your issue with the,
Right.
I think we do it.
Huh?
I think we provide it. Through providing the at-home.
I don't know that we can talk about
Yeah.
a policy we've tabled.
Okay.
But
So why don't you get us information on that for next week? But
And I mean, it doesn't, you're right, it doesn't stop us from still pushing 50, or passing 5610, but it's just something to...
yeah, no, I agree. I just think, no, that's it.
there is
Okay.
something
Yeah.
unclear there.
Yeah.
Well, but we can't change the definition of short-term
No, I don't think we.
suspension, so you
No,
can't be
there
like,
is
okay, well, now that means 5 days. you know?
There is something unclear there.
Yeah. Any other comments? All right. With that, I would like to open up the meeting for public comment. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public comment participation and has reserved this right for your comments. Please state your name,
God, these are so
address, and sign in when you get to the podium. Neither do I. I've been preaching that for years. Exactly. Right. Yeah. That's why I want to address the suspension. I want to suspend the whole, all the policies. Yeah.
Kim Crane, speaking as HBEA president. I just wanted to clarify, we appreciate the conversation on policy and the thought that you're putting into it and the in-depth conversation. I just wanted to clarify some of my comments from last meeting. The policy 4283, the electronic communication policy, I wanted to clarify that our concern with the principals was not the signing. It was that the principals would be the ones, or administrators would be the ones defining professional responsibilities, and it seems that you have defined those further in the policy. In fact, we would suggest that the signing be coupled with a guidance counselor or someone else also to back up the principal. A guidance that was suggested actually to me by a community member, and we thought that that was an excellent suggestion because the guidance counselors are privy to things that go on in students' lives that other people are not. We do, however, have an issue with the relatives, and we think that you're kind of opening yourself up because the relative clarification, it's just very hard to define the relationships. And as you all know, I'm sure you all have relatives, as I do, that I am not as close to as I am other people that don't happen to be related to me. And it doesn't mean that the relationship isn't appropriate. It just means that they don't happen to be related to me. So I think, has there ever been an issue? Have we had problems with electronic communication before that this discussion is, so that we're so concerned about this issue that we need to have such a restrictive policy? Is there a concern because this has happened? 'Cause I'm not aware of it.
With the proliferation of technology, I think this is an overall concern of many school districts, and this is also a state-mandated policy that we are approving tonight.
With the relative part?
We included the optional part of the policy.
Okay, so the relative part is an option.
Yes.
We feel like you're restricting yourselves. Like this isn't, we feel like it's creating more issues than it's going to solve for you, especially since this hasn't been an issue. And if it becomes an issue, then we look at that and you relook at your policy. So it's just a suggestion. It's a protection for teachers as well. We recognize that, but just want it noted that the recommendation is to leave out the relative part and leave the relationship up to the professional member, the student and their parents, the principal, and perhaps another safeguard, such as the superintendent or guidance counselor. And that really should be enough that you would not need to clarify. So we just ask that you consider that. Moving on, we are requesting information on whether the contract has been voted on by the board.
The contract goes to you first for ratification.
I'm sorry?
The contract goes to you first for ratification, but the contract should be ready with very soon. It's just finalizing it with the lawyer, the language.
Okay.
But it does go to you first for ratification.
Okay, I'm going to call up at some point our UNISERV rep after so she can clarify because I'm not as versed on those sorts of discussions, or the law, actually.
Okay.
And one of the issues I can tell you that in the past, the board has always ratified first because for us to get our membership together in a large group is quite a feat. And when we do that, we usually don't assume that the board is going to ratify or that there wouldn't be questions. So we usually have the board ratify first.
We can ratify my understanding is we can ratify the memorandum of agreement.
Right.
But the contract has to be ratified by you first.
Okay.
That's my understanding, but
has the memorandum of agreement been ratified?
we have not approved the memorandum of agreement. We are waiting for the final language and the agreement by both sides on the salary guide. So it's not only us, it's both sides.
Sure. Yes, okay. So we are looking forward to the memorandum of agreement being ratified or being voted on and put together as soon as possible because it is beginning to affect staff morale.
There should be no effect. It is in the process as you should be talking to your members as well. That there are no hiccups in this contract, and it is just with the lawyers waiting for them to do both sides to do their due diligence in this process.
We have been doing our due diligence, and we have been patiently taking requests from members, and now the language has been in the board's hands for a month.
Yep, and we hope to have it all. Both sides are doing their due diligence, and we hope to have it finalized within the next meeting or two.
I would highly recommend that it's within the next meeting. And this is what I'm hearing from my members. There's only so many times I can put it off and have them say we're
There are no outstanding
issues.
There are no outstanding issues on this contract besides the lawyer
That's good to know.
providing it to you, and you can say that to your members.
I will put that out to
And
members.
that is coming from this board. There are no outstanding issues on this contract.
Okay. So we're looking forward to moving the process.
Thank you.
The mentoring fee, I just wanted to bring that up. There was some discussion about mentoring fees and who was responsible for that. I am not certain, but they did revisit the law in May 2014. I would check with your attorneys. We were talking back and forth, but that's something that I thought I heard that who was responsible for the fee was changed, but I am not certain, so it's just kind of a heads up. You might want to look at that because they were looking at the law and the changes and making changes. Policy 3270. That's the professional responsibilities policy. Some of the language was concerning the Board of Education will establish and enforce rules for the assignment of specific duties to teaching staff members and for the conduct of teaching staff members during the workday. It was our understanding that the Board of Education does not assign special duties, and I would like some clarification on that language, that we were under the impression that the superintendent is responsible for those, to assign duties.
Okay. We will. I don't think we have an answer for that right now, and we'll look into that.
Okay. And also on the same policy, item number 1, during the workday, teaching staff members may be assigned extra or alternative duties by the blank in according with the board policy. And then it stated a board policy 3134. I have that board policy here, 3134, that it referred to. I needed to go to the board website and find that. And there were some concerns that policy itself was not within compliance and was not lawful.
3134?
What's that?
3134 you're referring to?
3134.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly, so we would request that you take a look at that and review that with your attorneys, particularly the paragraph that says, performance in an extra duty position will be considered in a teaching staff member's evaluation, since this policy was probably written before the new evaluation laws, and in determining whether to renew a non-tenured member, and in determining whether 2 or more tenured members with identical seniority entitlements will be retained in a reduction in force.
So as part of our policy process, we are, as you can see tonight, we are abolishing policies, but just so you know that the state law always supersedes one of our policies, so even if it says a policy,
Yes, I do know that.
the state law would supersede it.
I'm
Yeah.
just recommending that you take a look at that,
Yep.
especially since it's referred to here.
Thank you.
And we appreciate the teaching staff members may not leave school grounds during mealtime without the express permission of. Thank you, Mr. Soto.
Yep.
That one doesn't need to be explained. Thanks for moving that. And I think that's it. 3374, just for your information, that is educational law. So that policy should be fine the way it is as according to the law. That was a question that you had among each other, but UNISERV has informed us that that is according to the law.
So I think we're just going to table it anyway and just
Check
look
with
into
your
it.
lawyers.
Yeah, look into it more.
And the last thing was teaching staff members are expected to attend every this is, oh, I'm sorry, this is the same policy, 3270.
Yep.
Teaching staff members are expected to attend every faculty meeting unless expressly excused by the. We do that anyway, that's our standard policy, and we would just expect that that would be the contracted faculty meetings, not extra meetings that were put
Yep.
in. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Nancy Corbellia speaking on behalf of the HPEA. I just wanted to say, usually what happens is the board will ratify the contract first, and then what we will do is an association, we will set up a meeting, and we will have ratification with our people. We gave the board, and I know that you had it because I spoke with Mr. Brown, and for 4 weeks you've had the salary guides. We incorporated the things that the board had asked for at the bargaining table, and he said that he recommends those salary guides. As far as contract language, there was minimal.
There was
like one thing. So we would really appreciate it because I think the members are getting restless. We cannot give them salary guides and present the package to them until what we do is we have verification from this board that you agree to the guides.
That's fine. So, as I said to Kim, there is no outstanding issues on this contract. It is with the lawyer just so we can present it to you and to us as the new document. But there will be no changes from what we discussed.
Okay, so you just have to vote on it as a board first.
Then if that's the case, we will put that on the agenda.
Thank you.
This one or the next one?
It's not going on this agenda. There is no contract yet.
Hi, my name is Karen Bilton at 219 Montgomery. I'd like to thank Mr. Shalala for working so quickly to reduce the number of ELL students in the classes at Bartle School and at Irving School. I'm sure this new arrangement will be a much more productive work environment for the students. I do have some concerns about what seems to be the possible frequent changes of the Rutgers students volunteers coming in, since they are short-term interns, as you indicated. I'd like to see a stronger level of consistency in regards to the help you're bringing in for these students. I don't see how changes in the help for these students changing every month to 2 months is going to be a benefit to the students. Also, I have some questions about the G&T trips and how they'll be offered to non-G&T students. Will the trips be available to all students, or will access be granted on a lottery basis? Can you please give me more information, more details on how these trips will work?
That was a point of conversation with Wendy Amsterdam when she brought to my attention all of the trips that have been planned. And so the question was, how can we include more students to participate? We haven't really gotten to that point. I'm hoping that by the next board meeting, I will have clarification in that area. You're not alone. A lot of parents have expressed the same interest of including other students to participate. I don't see it as a major problem with teachers that are interested in...
It's not unusual either. We provide individual classes with individual field trips in this district.
Sure.
From photography to web design to a number of classes in this district are provided just for the classroom.
Right, but you're referring to specific trips that currently are planned for G&T. Will they be available for the other students? And that's something that we've been discussing also.
So we're awaiting more details.
Yes.
Yeah, Adam, you're talking high school level versus elementary level.
I am talking, but I'm talking individual classrooms. Yeah.
But it's much different at an elementary level than it is at a high school level.
Yeah.
And I did also, Karen, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you and my mic at the same time. But I did just want to make sure that I clarify the only classroom that happened in was the 1 3rd grade classroom. As to my knowledge, none of the other classrooms have been altered.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was only the 3rd grade classroom that some of the ESL students or ELL students were moved out. The rest of the classrooms still remain as they were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Allison Salerno. I live on Grant Avenue. My specific concern tonight is about the decision to take the high school psychologist position and make it a 80% position. I want to know why that happened. I guess that's my big question. I have some specific detailed concerns, but I don't understand why that happened.
That issue was brought up with the board during our executive session, and that's something that I'm going to be talking about with Bill.
I don't know who Bill is, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Bill?
Shalala, the director of special.
Okay, I just know his first name, I'm sorry.
To my understanding, she's going to be full-time. I think the 80% is that she's beginning in October. All right, so that might be prorated, and certainly I'll clarify that a little better next at the next board meeting.
I appreciate
that's
that.
certain that I will definitely look into.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. I didn't mean to interrupt
I
you.
appreciate your question.
See, so what it says on the agenda is that it's a 80% position, and what I've been led to understand is that this person 1 day a week. Right now, we have a full-time school psychologist at the high school. She's a caseworker. And we have a full-time intern at the teen center. So that's 1 + 1, 2 full-time positions. Now we're taking the school psychologist position based on the board minutes and making it an 80% position. And then my understanding is that same person is going to go over to the teen center 8 hours a week and be on call for the high school. So we've gone from 2 support positions to 1. Are you all aware of the caseload of the high school psychologist? And I'm not trying to be flippant. I mean, do you guys know what it is? It's about 60 students, which is about double best practices. So I'm speaking about this out of personal experience with my son having the school psychologist as his caseworker. And my personal perspective was she was extremely overworked at a 5/5 position. And so my concern is we're pulling support services for it. You know, I know it as a special ed parent. I don't know what else, frankly, if she also is supposed to be counseling students in distress who aren't necessarily having IEPs or 504s. So I guess my question is, or my concern is, I don't understand why we're pulling support system for students. I don't see where we've done a job task analysis, where we've looked at her caseload. The other thing that concerned me was when, I believe it was Mr. Sherman, I was having trouble hearing tonight with the microphones, but what I thought I heard him say was that they had not checked in yet or needed to check in with the teen center. So that concerns me because, you know, you all cut the student assistant
That's not what I
Is
said.
that not what
No,
you
no.
said?
I actually said it the opposite way. That I would assume, and I think Darcy got me on the assumption that this recommendation would not be put forth without Ms. Asamoah's support.
I would have no way to know if she was consulted. My concern is that this is the same board that cut the student assistant counselor, saying that those services could be taken care of by the teen center. What it appears, and you know, I really hope I'm wrong, but what it appears is that we have now pulled a full-time position out of the teen center. Maybe that's not the case, but I would ask the board, before you vote on that position, to really do more diligence as to exactly how this is going to affect student services. Like I said, my son already had an overworked caseworker, and this is only going to make the situation worse for kids. And we're supposed to be concerned about the achievement gap, and I don't see how this is going to help. I really don't. So I would just ask you to delay the vote, get a little more information about what you're doing before you vote on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've had extensive conversation with Elizabeth Asamoah and with Bill Shalala, we really have, and this was very well thought out. We believe that this particular person is an excellent choice for this position. I don't want you ever to believe that we're reducing services to kids. I would never do that. we're going to get additional clarification, but I am totally confident that with this person, all of the students' needs will be met, including the needs of the students that she would have seen during her time at the teen center. That I can assure you. But certainly at the next board meeting, I'll clarify that, or I can just call you personally and
I
give you
realize
some
I can't
additional
get into
information.
personnel issues, but just as someone who works in a different district, most of the time, my experience is the caseworkers on individual accounts, sorry, that's a terrible way of saying it, with individual students, they have about 30 cases, 30 to 40. My understanding, and I could be wrong, was that she had 60. Yeah. So maybe I don't have the right information, but that's the information I do have, and that's a concern to me.
Yep.
Okay,
Right,
thank you.
Point well taken.
Yeah, and I mean, I would want that information to come back to the full board, not just to Ms. Salerno. I mean, because I obviously share the concern, and I feel like this is the situation we were in last year with ESL. We had an ESL teacher resign. We decided budgetarily not to replace that position. I asked multiple times, will we be able to provide the same level of service? I was reassured that yes, that was absolutely going to happen, and we see now this year that that's not happening. So I agree. I mean, my strong preference would be that this is tabled until we know who's going into the teen center, how all those students are going to be served. I understand I may not get, consensus on that from the rest of the board, but until we can come to the public and say, yes, we're moving this person here, yes, there are less hours, yes, we're going to have one less person in the teen center, I don't see how we can move forward with decisions when we don't know for certain. We're not making assumptions.
Right.
We know this is how all of these needs are going to be met. These are the needs of the high school students. This is how the needs are going to be met, because this does just look like we're getting rid of one in a fifth position.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, not to underline it too much, but this affects actual students and the services they receive. I feel like we need to take this really seriously. Okay, I really appreciate your listening to me tonight.
The board will
Thanks.
discuss it.
Thank you.
Hi, Ann Gowan, South 2nd Avenue. I just had a quick comment about 0168, the recording of board meetings.
Yep.
Just very quickly, speaking as a member of the public, many of us members of the public would like to see the board embrace as much transparency as possible. I know this is just before the board for first reading, but I and many of my colleagues in the public would encourage you to adopt the optional portion that says the board shall make a videotape recording of all meetings. I understand Ms. Sherber expressed a concern about, what if we have a problem with the videographer? We don't want to have to cancel the meeting. And I think that could be dealt with sort of an emergency clause, except in cases of the unavailability of, the regular videographer. I'd like to see the default be that the board records. And I know that has been happening, but if there's a chance to get it enshrined in policy, I think that'd be fantastic. The second part of that policy I had a concern about was the board will permit the use of video recording devices only when notice has been given. And at that point, the board secretary...
It's been taken out.
I apologize, I had trouble hearing. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, good evening. Ellen Leibowitz, 250 Grant Ave. Thanks for being board members. I wanted to remind everybody that a week from tonight, Monday, October 27th, we're having our Candidates Night, Board of Education Candidates Night. All 7 candidates who are running for Board of Education seats will be present. The evening is going to be moderated by a representative of the League of Women Voters, and there's a specific format that they follow. It's going to be a really great opportunity to hear from all the board members. The audience, the attendees will have an opportunity to ask questions, and I hope everybody will be able to come out and hear what the candidates have to say so we can all make informed decisions at the poll. I also wanted to make a suggestion that I made years and years ago and kind of forgot about it, but it struck me tonight, that the student representatives are high school students, and that's great. They do a really good job. But I'd love to hear from the other schools. Obviously, we're not going to have third and fourth graders come to the board meetings and be here till 9 and 10 o'clock at night. But I was wondering if we could think creatively about somehow including news from the other schools. And perhaps it could be maybe a mentoring situation where the students in the older grades and the higher grades can meet with representatives from the younger grades and kind of come up with a report. Because, you know, sometimes the board meetings seem so high school focused. And we're a pre-K through 12 school district, and it would be really nice to hear news and reports cross-grade, pre-K through 12. So I hope we could think about that. Thanks.
We'll take that under advisement. Mr. Soto seems excited about it.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think it would be
will
a
definitely
really
go back to the
great,
schools.
I'm sorry?
I would absolutely have a conversation with the principal. That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it would be a really great learning opportunity for the younger students. And they may not even know what a Board of Education is. And it would be, you know, a good opportunity to them to learn about what you guys do and be able to share with some of their older schoolmates.
Thank you.
Ellen, could you once again say the date, time, and location of candidates tonight?
Yes.
Because I realize I don't even have it in my calendar.
Absolutely. It's a week from tonight, Monday, October 27th. Starts at 7:30 p.m. It's in the high school cafeteria. Did I cover everything?
Wait, hold on. I'm putting it in my phone.
1 week from today, 7:30, high school cafeteria.
So,
Monday.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any other public comment?
Starts.
I'm Carla Draper, 126 Amherst Street. And I wasn't going to talk again, but I don't know, how many of you know that this is Dyslexia Awareness Month? It's a little hard to sit and hear about a gifted and talented program that I also know is state mandated when I don't feel, I know that things are being put in place, but it's going to be a struggle to get them in place and to give these children what they need. I have a daughter that I had to drag out of a car in second grade because she hated coming to school so much that she was called stupid by a fellow student because she couldn't read from the board. And that we celebrated sixth grade because she read a book by herself without an audio book, without me reading to her. I want to know what we're going to do for these kids. I want changes to be made there. You know, I hear about these kids get to go on trips. That's great. That's great. I'm all for that. But let's fix this problem. Let's get ahead of the game. Not just do the basic of what the state wants you to do, because it is minimal. And it's not going to help the older children who are there. We can start getting kids diagnosed. I think it's by the end of the first semester of second grade. Let's do something. Let's do something for these kids. It's heartbreaking. It really is. And that's just what I'm asking. I'm hoping next October we can celebrate October 15th by wearing red.
So, you're talking to somebody who on this board has talked about my own personal problems with dyslexia and how I still listen to audiobooks to this day because I am severely dyslexic. We have talked at the board about expanding programs to students, including smart pens, including voice recognition software, including Read 180. So I don't think it's come on deaf ears. I think this board has discussed about the expansion of services to all of our students, especially those with special needs.
But there's more to it, and not everyone knows it. I go to my meetings, my conferences, and I have to say, she's dyslexic.
Yep.
Because it's not in her IEP. I have to say, she is classified SLD, and I have to say she's dyslexic, and we have awesome teachers here, awesome, who knew exactly, and knew exactly what to do.
Yep.
But not everyone gets it, not everyone knows it.
It's a learning. It is a learning curve, but this board is trying.
It's trying, and I see money being put into programs that it's upsetting that maybe, you know what, my daughter wants Student of the Year in 5th grade, my dyslexic daughter. She's going to be left out of things. She's a bright girl, and she deserves a chance. And I'm going to fight for her, but I want everyone to fight for all the kids. And that's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
I have a question. Why would a child who is dyslexic not have dyslexia in the IEP?
I think that is a question for our student services, and it is also something with the parents.
Hi, I have a son
Wait,
with
I'm sorry.
dyslexia. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't think you finished what you were saying, Adam.
No, I think the conversation, if you have a question about this, should be addressed by our student services and come back to us through our administrator.
Sorry to interrupt it. My apologies.
No, feel free.
I didn't mean to be rude. I'm just very passionate about this because I have a child with dyslexia and I teach kids with reading challenges, dyslexia. I don't know why I'm nervous. The state of New Jersey recently passed a law and changed the educational law, so you may put in the IEP, they recognize dyslexia as a thing, okay? Prior to that, our kids were the only thing you could put in an IEP was SLD, specific learning disability. Why? Because when a child has dyslexia, a whole slew of specific interventions kick in that most school districts can't afford, okay? Like the Wilson Reading Program or whatever. So that is why, when we first had our son diagnosed, they're like, oh no, he doesn't have dyslexia. It was like this word you can't use, because if we accept that reality, then we have to provide the services, and it is expensive. It is a huge resource. But like with most special needs, the earlier you intervene with these kids, the more easily you can remediate. I know you guys know that. So that's why, Claire, that's why you can't say a kid has dyslexia. That's traditionally been the case. I don't know much about what's the new change. It's only been the past few months that the state has said, aha, there is this thing called dyslexia. So, I need to learn more about it, both as a teacher and as a parent. I really don't know much about it, but I'm sorry I interrupted, but
No, that's
it's
useful.
just an issue very near and dear to my heart.
That's very useful information.
Helpful, Allison, thank you.
We will talk to our special service director and see where the new change affects us.
Virginia Lofton, South 2nd Avenue. I just have a question on this policy 8330 of pupil records. I have a question on what a pupil information directory is. And
On page 2?
on page 2 of 9.
Yep.
Which number?
I took it as 8330.
No, I don't think it's that. No, this is directly related to statute and public law. Linda, I don't know what of ours would fall under that, but I would assume that we would create that, just because we would have to for funding purposes.
Although this is actually one of the policies that we're not passing tonight because it's not on the agenda.
Right, it is one that we're not passing.
But you did discuss it tonight.
Yep.
So,
Information directory.
We may not have, we can get that. We do not have the answer with us today. We're not moving the policy tonight, and we'll have that answer for when we do move it.
Yeah, because I am concerned about student privacy and some of this information that they're talking about releasing to educational, occupational, or military recruiters. So I have some concern about that.
Absolutely.
So when will this policy be?
Next board meeting will be up for
So that
first,
would be
it will be
a
up for first reading, and we'll have one more reading after that.
So tonight was not considered a first reading, even though you did, okay.
Correct. We will not be moving this tonight.
We discussed it by mistake.
Oh, oops.
It was up for discussion purpose
Okay,
only.
well, wait.
No, it's all right.
I'll have some concerns about that.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Being that I see none, I would like to move on to the movement portion, the board action items.
I want to put in Greg and Mai, and now we're going to add Jerry to our list of people who would like swivel chairs over on this side of the table.
So-
We're going to put the request in every week, and we're going to see if somebody magically hears our facilities request.
So noted. Claire, can I have the curriculum motions, please?
Yes, I would like to move items 1 through 7 on the agenda.
And there are, I think you have my correction list?
Oh, I gave it.
Did you give it back to me?
Yes, I did.
Yep, you did. Claire, can you please read in the third one?
I will read in one correction. It's under item 3 on the agenda. In where it lists Danielle Thorne, she is not a teacher at the middle school. It should say Bartle School.
I don't see her there.
Okay, let me. Linda, this is directly.
This is number 3.
Oh, no, it is number 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 5. So strike that. The actual correction is on number 5 on the agenda.
Yes.
Under Danielle Thorne, it lists her school as middle school. That should say Bartle.
All right. With those.
So with that, I move 1 through 7 on the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments?
Well, in the curriculum committee report, as I mentioned before, there's a kind of like a shared item, the moving of the teen center, Ashley All's house from the teen center to the.
Yep.
So 7 is moving her out of the teen center or reducing her hours at the teen center. I guess I'm checking to see if there is any support on the board for tabling this item until we get more of the answers as to what's going to happen with the teen center.
I actually, when she was discussing this, I looked, and the problem with tabling it tonight is that she's supposed to start tomorrow. Her first day is tomorrow. The psychologist's first day is tomorrow. So I think that what we should do is move it so that she can start, and then if we need to revise either of these motions, either of these items for the next meeting, we can. But I'm concerned that if we table these items
Then we don't
tonight,
have.
then she can't start.
Israel, can we have some comments about the due diligence that went into making these changes? Can you tell us how we came across making these changes?
Well, there was a committee that formed, and we interviewed several candidates led by Bill Shalala, and the best candidate by far was Ashley.
But I don't think anybody's questioning her being a good candidate.
Reducing her to 80% and then reducing the interns' hours.
I had a conversation. Yeah, I did have a conversation with Bill, and he assured me that all of the students will be served correctly, having her on board for 80%.
So if you can and specifically also the reduction of the intern in the teen center. So if you can ask for the next, again, I would suggest we table it, except that I would like for her to be able to start on schedule.
And I agree, and I appreciate you looking at the dates.
So if we can have some additional information.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so this will be moved on condition that we get more information at the following board meeting. All right, everybody's, okay. Alinda, are there any other comments? Alinda, can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Aversa?
Yes.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Ms. Simorowski?
Yes.
Ms. Sherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Ms. Bull, can I have the finance motions?
I'd like to move items 1 through 28.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments? Linda, can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Aversa?
Yes.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Ms. Simorowski?
Yes, but I'm going to say no on 20 and 24, and I'm going to say that with the proviso that, I'd really love to feel moving forward that these kind of technology purchases are...
Okay, we don't do comments during
Okay.
motions, though. Thank you.
So I'll just say no then.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Sherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes on everything but 19.
No to 19?
No to 19.
19's just the quotes.
Yeah.
Do you want to say no to 20?
Sorry. 20.
20.
Actually, yes, no to 20.
No to 20, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, Darcy, but just in
No,
the
that's
future,
okay.
if we can just keep roll calls to the roll call. Thank you. Can I have the
I'd like to move the personnel items 1 through 10.
Second.
any comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Aversa?
Yes.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Ms. Simorowski?
Yes.
Ms. Sherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Can I have a motion for, all right, Linda, you and I are going to have to work together on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to move, I guess I'll move them as a block. How do we normally move them?
You could do policy.
Okay. So I'm going to move items 1, 2, and 3, excluding policies. Linda, that's your cue.
Excluding number 3373, 3374, and 4283 under first reading. Excluding policy 2417, 2481, and 5200 under second reading. That's what I have.
That is what I have as well, at least for the second readings. I would actually like somebody to make that motion, and that's not me. I don't think the president should be making motions.
But you're also the chair of the policy committee, so yes, you should make the motion.
Okay, I will make the motion. I would like to move that. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments?
I guess I'd just like to ask if we want to take into, we're now, 3283 is for second reading, so that's the electronic communications between teaching staff members and students, and this is the one that we continually keep getting input from the president of the union, and if we want to, I don't know what happens if you table something for second reading, does that put it back to first reading?
No,
Or
it
is
doesn't.
What does it do?
It does puts it for second reading.
Puts it for second reading again. Do we want to discuss whether we want to entertain any of the considerations that we're being asked to make?
From my understanding from the conversation with the board is comfortable moving forward, unless I hear otherwise. I don't think there's support to table tonight. Okay.
All right.
Any other comments? Linda, can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Aversa?
Yes.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Ms. Simorowski?
Yes.
Ms. Sherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Now I would like to, there is no president's report. Old business. A issue was brought to the attention of the board, and Mr. Soto would like to discuss it. Mr. Soto, can you discuss the old business item of the Irving Playground?
Yes, the old business, as discussed with the principal is very concerned regarding the safety of the children. If the community has access to the schoolyard during school hours, particularly from 8 in the morning all the way to 6 o'clock, which was, I think, is the last hour for students to be dismissed for the after-school programs. I've had extensive conversation with her, and it's to my professional judgment that it is the best interest of all of the kids if we close the schoolyard during school hours.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last few words. If you close the schoolyard,
So-
I'm
so the
sorry,
re-
if you, I didn't hear the last few words.
My recommendation is to close the schoolyard during school hours, and the rationale is as follows. Right now, there's a security issue. There's a safety issue. There's accountability issue when you have other, students and adults. There's an accountability issue. If something happens, who's really accountable? The parents, the teachers, the principal? Then there's the issue of the actual yard. Is this public property or is it private property? Is it the property of the school? Because if it is and something happens, then the school may be, I don't want to say will be, may be liable for insurances.
Yes.
So if rather than addressing that situation when it comes, we would think that it would be prudent at this at this time to close the schoolyard.
I thank you for bringing this to our attention. This should never have been the case in the first place, and I would support your recommendation. Are there any other comments?
Yeah, can we define what we mean by closing it?
It's for school personnel only, school children, school personnel
So,
only.
but school
When there's
children get released at
dismissed,
2:30, and then their parents like to have them on the playground until the after-school kids are dismissed. That's going to be the sticking point.
Right.
If that's what we're saying, is that upon dismissal, students must immediately leave school grounds and cannot be on the playground, I would expect at the next meeting, you're going to have a nice little line coming to the podium, which is fine.
Okay.
Do you have?
Is that what we're saying?
That's what we're saying.
Okay, and
That's what we're
so if we're saying that the reason that we're doing it is because of potential liability and what our liability would or could be, have you
Absolutely.
consulted Jonathan, our
Absolutely.
lawyer? Have you consulted our lawyer, our
Well,
general counsel, as to
that-
what the liability
That'll be the
would be?
conversation tomorrow in terms of liability, but right now, I don't want to wait until I have to have the conversation with him. I want to make sure that we avoid that.
Well, but this has been the unwritten policy of the district that students are released and they play on the playground with their parents until, sometimes there's crossover and that becomes an issue. And the last time we had talked about this, we had kind of talked.
That's not been the policy. That's not been.
It's the practice, let's say that. It is
not.
practice, it is the policy
It's
through
not.
practice.
It has not been.
It is the practice, Adam.
I have half the room up there shaking their head no as well.
The kids and the kids and parents stay on the playground after dismissal.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been the practice for years.
What time does the after-school officially start, right?
I don't remember that happening when I was
Because I thought
Adam,
you talked about...
my daughter's just left there 2 years
I know,
ago.
but practice from 1 year is not the practice of.
Trust me, Adam, I've heard
Okay,
from
then
so many Irving
that's fine.
parents. When this came up before, I've heard from tons of Irving parents who were not happy at the idea of not being able to stay on the playground after.
Okay.
We've had unhappy parents about other things. If that's the decision of the board, that's the decision of the board, and then we'll listen to the unhappy parents. I'm just saying, if we're saying our concern is legal liability, we should have a conversation with our lawyer before we do that, and
But it isn't just legal liability,
Is
it's
this-
also safety, and it's a recommendation of the principal.
Exactly. It's not only a liability, it's also safety. So when we have so many parents and students gathered together, especially during probably the busiest time of the day, which is dismissal, do we really want to take the chance of someone entering the school building or kidnapping one of our children? Do we want to really deal with that if that were to happen? I would rather have, and this is my recommendation, have it closed so we would avoid and safeguard the children. So it's about safeguarding the children. And I know this is different, but...
I think you can make any argument about it, something about being about the safety. That was the argument about why the dismissal plans were changed at the beginning of the year in Irving, and that turned out to be very much not the case. And it
but
actually
that's fine,
had a
but we
reverse.
made adjustments.
Right.
We made adjustments. I spoke to parents. We all met. They gave me excellent feedback. I sat with the principal. I sat with some of the teachers, and we made the necessary adjustments. So bravo to the parents, all right? But in this particular case, personally, I will not take the chance of anything happening to any of our kids because we left so much access to people. I just, if something were to happen, this conversation will take a different tone. Trust me.
I think if you speak to the people, I think if you speak to the people who, sorry, I think if you speak to the people who watched the children at that time period, they would be supportive.
Well, they were just all clapping.
They would be supportive of this.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Soto. So then basically, the Irving will be dismissed and there's going to be no access to the playground, so you're not even going to have to worry about the transition between when the after-school program starts or getting getting the children off the playground because they won't even be able to be on it in the first place.
Well, the actual intricacies of what that's going to look like, I'll be having a conversation with the principal tomorrow, and she'll be sending out a communique to the parents. I mean, it might very well be that we might have some type of transitional period.
Right.
I mean, it's not like starting tomorrow, we might need some transitional period to, alert the parents and set the proper protocols, but it is my recommendation for your consideration.
We had also talked about, which I think is where you're going, Jerry, we had talked about a transition period between end of school and after school program, a leeway of half an hour or something. So that's off the table, or that might be on the
But
table?
that's what I was saying,
That might be on
and you
the
had said
table.
no. I mean, that's what I was saying, that there would be a transition period after school where parents and students could play with their children, and I believe that what you had said was no, that this was just no access.
My position at this time would be no.
Right, so we're saying that transition time would not be allowed, is what we're
you're
being
gonna
asked
be-
to consider.
I'm sorry, but you're going to be having a conversation tomorrow about it, and then we'll come back to us? Okay.
So between now and then, that access won't be revoked, is that what we're saying?
Today and tomorrow?
Or the next meeting? Ashley's asking if we're going to come.
I wouldn't say.
I'd like to be. Go, no, you. Speak.
I wouldn't say effective tomorrow. They won't be allowed. Let me have the conversation with the principal, and she'll make the appropriate adjustments and disseminate the proper notification to the parents.
But you have my support at least. If at the end of that discussion, it is to close down the playground to externals at the time period to do that.
Can we not call them externals? They're children and their parents
Okay.
being dismissed from their school.
Okay.
I do want to say, though, I agree with Darcy. It may not be all the time, but you were saying, when were your kids at Irving?
2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago at Irving, that was the practice, that parents would hang out. When I first moved here in 2005, that was also the practice. So I can't speak about any of the years in between, but it is the practice, not that it's correct, but I assure you, some people that will be angry.
I can assure you that as well, absolutely.
I'm sure they will.
What is your view?
I think for safety and all these other concerns, yes. But for my convenience as a parent, I wouldn't like it.
Right. I am completely in agreement with you, but I think we need to make the prudent decision to be more on the protective front.
But again, I think this is where, personally, I would like us to have consulted with Jonathan first and see if there's any other cases about things like this. To restrict access based on hypothetical liabilities when, we also want our schools to be communities where our parents and students feel comfortable, and part of that at Irving is that playground. It just is, and if we can set a policy, not a board policy, but a building level, policy where the parents and students who are released can be on the playground, even if it's just for 15 minutes, to provide them a tiny bit of transition time, and then you still have plenty of transition time to bring out the after-school kids.
So how do you actually clear the playground between the, whose job is it to then go out and say, okay, now parents with your children, please leave?
That would be beholden to our paraprofessionals, who would be put in a very awkward position.
Right.
That I don't think I would be wanting to put them
And I think-
in, which I would assume they are in now.
Right, but I think this is actually kind of where it started too, right?
Yeah,
Because
I'm
was the
just
feedback that
asking.
it
Whose
was
job is
difficult for them
that?
with the after school to get the children,
we've
unfortunately, that
already
aren't
had-
part of after school off of the playground so they can do their after school activities and, the mix of,
But
the mix
I
of
think
kids. So
if-
I get,
We've
where
had
they're-
inc- we've
I
had-
agree with them. I agree with closing the playground. If there's a small transition time,
We've already had
may be helpful, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
But I think what would make the difference...
We've had incidents already this
Yeah.
year with students on the playground, not part of the after-school program, who have done things that are inappropriate. So,
But we haven't had a clear expectation set. I think you might see a different... No.
in terms of this expectation, it's set. But yeah.
No. A clear... I think you didn't let me finish. A clear expectation set of this is the time period where students and parents can be on the playground from Irving, it's 3, from 3 to 3:15, and then the expectation is then set that at 3:15 they leave. It may be a lot easier on the paraprofessionals to then ask people to leave when there's already a clear building policy set at 3:15. Parents leave. They've all been notified. It's posted. It's signed. The paraprofessional can just kind of point at the sign. Now it's just paraprofessional versus parent, which I wouldn't want to be in that position either. There's not a building level policy, there's not a, do you know what I mean? Like,
But our
then it's
paraprofessionals
clearly
aren't police-
posted and,
They're not polices. We don't want our paraprofessionals to have to police the playground.
no, I don't want them to police the
But
playground
that's
either.
what that turns into.
But you know what? Somebody has to be at the school that's in charge of the school, and it's
Somebody's
not the
gonna have to police
it's
people
not
from
the
coming in, too.
Needs
paraprofessional.
to be locked.
So somebody's in charge of the building,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
During after school. So that person, if we need someone to be the heavy to come in and make people leave, I would imagine that person could do it.
Right. Yeah, it seems like there's ways around it to not,
Okay.
Darcy, your point is well taken. I'm all about community. I certainly understand that, and I would certainly understand that as a parent. I'm a grandfather myself. I would love to hang out in the schoolyard to play with my grandchildren, but from the perspective of security, it's hazardous. It really is. It puts a lot of pressure on the paraprofessionals, on the teachers, that they have to be extremely vigilant. God forbid something was to happen. There's going to be a lot of
but then the paraprofessional, it wouldn't be involving the
So
paraprofessionals.
what I'm saying, I think that it's in my professional judgment that the kids and the community, the school will be best served if we do close. We limit access to the yard during the school day. I will have a conversation with the principal. I will have a conversation with the people that actually are there, manning the kids, protecting the children tomorrow. But I would remain with the recommendation that,
It
limit
may
the
be
access.
interesting too, Israel, I mean, and I'm just going to throw this out there, to then tomorrow, if you're over at Irving, to talk to the parents who are on the playground after school as well.
I'm
And just-
gonna take you up on that. I talk to parents all the time.
Right, and
Okay.
say, we're talking about having this time done away with and see what reactions you get. Maybe that will stem the tide of them coming in.
These are one of those.
There's a great
these
park,
are-
little park 2 blocks away. They
Right.
can go there too.
That-
Yeah.
These are one of those situations, though, when we've identified a serious problem and should not wait to make that decision. So I think I would like to make sure that the board is aware that we are giving Mr. Soto the authority tonight to make the changes necessary.
Was there an incident that we're not aware of?
There was an incident we can talk about, not a disciplinary issue, so it wouldn't come in closed session, but I prefer not to talk about it public session.
Then it also helps if people have all the information that you're making
There
decisions.
yes, there was an incident involving students and their behavior and things that were going on during the after school during the
It was
time period.
Irving students'
Yeah.
behavior?
Yeah.
But was it Irving students, dismissed Irving students on the playground at the same time as after-school students? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. I just know of a situation that happened at Irving on the playground.
But then it sounds to me like you would use that as a rationale to say no one can ever be on the playground ever.
I'm not saying it's not part of the rationale, or it's just something that has happened recently that has drawn my attention to the Irving School playground. It's been so. Right.
Great.
All right. Is there any other old business?
I have a question, and it's about the policies that have been tabled. Would that be old business or new business?
Pick whichever one you want.
Okay, old
yeah.
business. So there's several policies that have been tabled and referred to committees. What do we have to do with those and when? By when?
By the end of this board cycle, so within the next, I believe we have 3 meetings left in this year.
Yes.
So the committees need to review them and make any changes deemed necessary. So
Recommendations.
yes. So that is it could be nothing, but it could also be changes. They just were tabled for more discussion.
Okay, and does it have to be everybody on the committee? Or can it be 2 people? Or?
It can be 2 people. Yeah, you can hold. Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody.
And you said it can be discussed via email too.
It can definitely be discussed via email.
So it doesn't even
Or a
require
conference
necessarily
call.
a meeting.
Yep.
And that kind of, I know we're rushing to do these all by the end of the year, right? Is it by the last meeting of the year? Is that what we need to do to make sure we have everything in?
Yeah.
I guess I just want to put forward, usually in policy, wouldn't things go to committee first, then to the full board for first reading, then, it seems like we could have avoided a lot of the juggling of, making everybody read every policy if we had had the time. Maybe we didn't have the time, but if we had had the time to go through that
So all of these policies actually did make the rounds through the committees last year, and they did not get reviewed. So I guess the decision was made to sort of, because,
Push them.
I mean, we, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
I think there were a lot of reasons why. I think it was a very busy, hectic year.
Are these some of the ones we did in January?
We've been...
Or prior?
Right, well, we actually finished the policy review. So we finished the complete policy manual review last year, but I guess there's also an annual, sort of a percentage of policies. But
this was also a review, sorry to interrupt, this was also a review of policies that we were missing entirely from the agenda, which was not part of the policy review.
Right.
But wouldn't we still, I mean, it just seems like we could have maybe expedited some of this if it had gone to gone to committees first and then
they did go
gone
through
the policy.
committee and they got sort of lost.
Yep.
So just to sort of expedite it, so at this point, we're just trying to expedite the whole thing. And yes, it is a little bit unwieldy, but at least it's getting, it's getting done.
Gotcha.
All right. Is there any other old business?
Dan had, and maybe this didn't happen because Dan's not here, but Dan had said at the last meeting that we were going to get a presentation from Matt about communication stuff, and we were going to be hiring a volunteer communications person. Do you have any?
I have no information on that.
Okay. So, do we know if we looked for someone? Have we? I know.
I believe we have. So I believe we have accepted resumes, and I think.
And then you saw in your packet.
Yeah, we got the job description. I know, but I didn't know if it had gone out or if there had been.
I believe it was posted on the website.
Okay. Is that's it's only going to be posted on the website? It's not going to be put out?
No, we're not. It's not a paid position. We are not putting it in the. We're not paying to put it in.
How would people see it?
On the website?
Yeah, like why would somebody be?
I believe it was on the website, and we talked about it. We talked about it at the board meeting. What would you like?
I don't know.
It's a job. It's a posting.
Yeah, it's for
just as like a regular job posting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which is more than we've ever done in the past for community. So, is there any other old business? Is there any new business?
That's sidewalk. The dedication, is that not happening?
No, that we can discuss that. I'm just asking if there's any. I was asking if there's any new business. We can discuss the dedication. Irving School dedication. Is there? I'm not aware of this. So it's. Okay. I will read this. The past and present Irving school teachers would like to get a plaque naming the Irving School Library after Nira Davis. She had 3 sons who attended Highland Park High School, one of whom is still working for us at the high school. She worked for us from 1981 to 2001 and taught first grade and eventually became the reading recovery teacher. She was very soft-spoken and never raised her voice. She was the gentlest person. Her classroom was inspiring, and her students looked up to her. Everyone respected her. She and her husband loved gardening, especially roses. She played the organ at her church in Jersey City. She loved to sing too. She passed away last year, and all the teachers, past and present in Irving School, would love to give her this honor. Just to add to that, my grandma, who was a former teacher here, was a great fan of hers as well.
I think that's a lovely idea.
Lovely idea.
Agreed.
Thank you to the teachers who brought this to our attention. We will arrange to make this happen and have a dedication ceremony as well. So, is there any other new business?
Two quick items, very quick. Who would we go to, or how would we rectify the sidewalk issue, particularly the ramps on and off Cross?
Linda?
You? Okay.
Yep.
Just the complaints that they're not stroller friendly, particularly around Bartle.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, yeah, you're talking about like the corner?
Yes.
Corners?
Yes.
I would have to, if you could give me that information in writing, I'll present it to the borough. The borough would need to make the, yeah.
Great, thank you. And then just a quick scheduling issue, relatively minor compared to other items, but important to specifics. If you have children at Irving and Bartle and you want to attend the Halloween celebrations, it's not possible unless you can split yourself in two.
Okay.
So just and it may not be possible this year, but if going forward, we could coordinate a little closer.
Have the times been set?
Sorry?
Have the times been set?
From what I understood, the times have been set.
The last email I got from the
stone?
Huh?
Are they engraved
No.
in
I mean, the last email I got. The last email I got from the Bartle teachers was that it hadn't even been set yet. They weren't sure
Can
what time it was going to
Ashley,
be.
use your power as the board member to change the times.
Can we change one?
But they're not even set yet, from what I understand.
So the information I had from a few parents was that they were set. They had tried to talk to the principal, and it was proving difficult to coordinate between the two buildings. But
Israel, can you take that up?
thank you.
Thank you.
We have lots of parents, I think, with
Just the part that I forgot in old business, I'm just going to take the presidential priority to go back to it real quick. The changing of the board meetings. We never finalized that discussion. I would strongly recommend moving them back to the middle school, and can recommend. I'm flexible on the time, but I do think they should be back at the middle school. It could be for the first of the next board session, or at the next board meeting, or thereafter.
Is that something we vote on, or how do we do that?
We don't have to vote on it, but we need to get the sense of this board that that's something that they want. I think it's much more user-friendly. It's a nicer location, and it won't pose that much of an issue for Linda.
Says you.
Thank you for asking.
No, yeah.
Well, if it's an accessibility issue, I think we have to err on the side of accessible.
Yeah.
I know.
We are not I will make this caveat. By changing this board meeting, we are not acknowledging or saying that this place is inaccessible by any stretch of the imagination.
But others are more accessible.
Yes.
Yes. More easily.
So.
You won't complain if the board secretary is late for the finance?
No.
No.
Because
we won't complain a lot.
I am late to finance committee's meetings as well, so. So I would, as long as we are, most of us in agreement, would everybody like to do it for the next meeting? Or should we tell Dan or not tell Dan? It's up to everybody else.
It should be a secret. He can come here and we'll all go there.
I think we should tell him.
Okay, we'll tell them and we'll do it for the next board meeting. Is everybody okay with that? Please provide public note. Linda, are you okay with that? Not okay with that? Okay. Actually, I won't be here. I won't be here either, so. Please provide a blinker on the website, and it changed in our agendas. Do we need a motion to change a board meeting at all? About location? Venue? I'll make one just in case. I would like to move that the remaining board calendar take place at the middle school.
Second. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, just.
Did you need?
I think for. Just in case. Yeah. For all agreed upon meetings already for this year to take place at the middle school. Is there a second?
Yes, there is a second.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Ms. Aversa?
Yes.
Ms. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Ms. Simorowski?
Yes.
Ms. Sherber?
No, she's concerned about Linda.
She's just.
Linda, don't get me wrong, I'm concerned.
I'm fine. It's no problem. Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Text me.
Trades.
Did you want to have any discussion about the paper? Did you see my email this morning?
Absolutely.
Thank you for reminding him.
Thank you for reminding me. So we are a green community, yes?
Yes.
And yet, the amount of paper that's being duplicated is voluminous. So the recommendation is, voluminous. It's a lot of paper. So the question is this necessary, all of this duplication of paper?
For public
meetings.
For public meetings.
Especially with the volume of policies that we're working on right now. I mean, I'm serious. This was just policies. And then this was the agenda with the normal attachments.
Okay, so We would have to provide.
And that was only 15 copies each. We limited it.
I understand that. We would have to provide, in my opinion, to anybody who does not have, just like we would for a student, anybody who does not have a smartphone or a laptop, a way to access the agenda.
The agendas are available on the district website, along with the attachments.
So I know, and you know, that there are very few people in this room or who come to board. There are very few who do not have accessibility on themselves, but there are some who do. And in this district, we've always erred on the side of providing everybody equal opportunity. And I feel by not providing them something here, which does not necessarily have to be paper. We have a full, card up there. But that's something that we have. We can provide them Chromebooks if we want. But I think we still need to provide copies. So here's what I can say is that I would ask anybody who does not need a copy and can use their own personal device to not use them, to use their own device, and we can start reducing the amount of copies that we make.
I think what we're asking is to reduce the number of copies made available at board meetings, with the understanding that some people will have access to the electronic media before the meeting and could print it out themselves ahead of time if they so choose to.
Well, we would hope they wouldn't. We would
Hopefully
hope they would
not, because we are trying to be more green.
Yeah.
But to print out 50 copies, because there might be 50 people at a board meeting, does use a lot of paper and copying equipment. And if people were willing to share, for example, I mean, certainly we don't want to make this a burden on anyone, but we are trying to first improve the environment, improve our budget.
So here's what I
wonder
if we can.
Can we just make like 10 copies and call it a day, like this?
No, or even 5 copies and put a sign there saying, please take only if you have no other access.
Well, I was going to recommend 10.
Okay, so let's start reducing and see how many are left at the end of the meeting. So I would totally support that, and now encourage the public who comes, as it is, as Israel is right. The board has gone green for the most part, and we would encourage everybody to use their own personal device to access the information. We do have wireless internet in here. If you bring your computer, you can have it, or you have it on your iPhone or iPad as well. So there will be agendas available, but it is the official policy now, the official policy of this board, to encourage all people to use electronic devices during the board meetings.
How about via a projector?
Yeah,
Can we project
I was
it?
going to
is
say
that something?
It's just
Some
that
boards do that.
We'd only be able to show one page at a time, and people might want to flip around. So I'm not sure. Certainly that wouldn't be a problem, except someone would have to. I could even push.
Let's try this first. Let's start reducing, depending on how many we are now encouraging people to use their electronic device, and see where we can readdress it as deemed fit. But I appreciate you bringing that to us, and I think it's a great recommendation. Any other new business? I would like to open up this portion for public comment. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. Are there any public comments?
I'm not here as Carla Draper of 126 Amherst Street. I'm here as Miss Carla, site manager of the after-school program. You have to understand, I'm not doing, we've kind of pushed for this, not to be difficult, not because we don't get it, we totally get it, that you want to spend time with other parents. Your kids want to spend time with their friends they haven't seen in school. But I've been doing this a long time, and the things I've seen are not safe. I've had parents leave their kids and go to Quick Check. Their kids aren't in the program. What if they didn't come back? I've had kids urinate on the playground.
That's the one I was talking about.
And I've had parents berate us.
That's the one that I was talking
to make us, to say, can you let us in? We need to use the bathroom. I can't let them in. I've been threatened with calling the mayor because I wouldn't let somebody in with their dog. We have toddlers. It's not so much the older kids. We have toddlers coming in. We've had teenage kids come in and tear the place apart. So that's why we're asking. It really isn't anything against anybody, but we're very passionate about what we do. We want the kids to be safe. We want the kids who are paying to be there to enjoy themselves. And we don't want anyone to have to worry that their kids aren't safe who are paying for their kids to be there. That's really all it comes down to, and I hope everyone understands. It's nothing that we don't want parents there or we don't want certain kids there. It really isn't, and I just hope you understand.
So,
You're good.
am I on?
Yep.
So do you not think it would work to let parents be on the playground from, like, say, 3 to 3:15, and then have them clear out so that there isn't anyone, that we just have that small window? Do you not see that a small window would work just to give a transition period?
It did actually work at one point. I have to say it did work at one point. As soon as they saw us come out, gone.
Right.
The problem is people coming in with children who are not a part of our school.
Right.
And the toddlers, and like I said, people who are not from our school coming out, and sometimes they won't leave. Sometimes they do
Right.
get belligerent. Sometimes they don't understand. I mean, it's very hard for us to calm 6-year-old boys down from knocking over a 2-year-old on the playground.
Right, right.
Try. Plus, the kids who, a lot of times, even when kids are with their parents, they're not following the playground rules that we enforce. So they're climbing up the slide. We had one kid take one of our jump ropes, which is why I don't put jump ropes up anymore, and lasso the top of the slide and try to hold on and climb.
Right. Kids are drunk monkeys, absolutely. Like, there's
So,
no question.
And meanwhile, the parents are down on the other end of the playground. So
Right.
that's just, it's not everyone.
Right, and I can absolutely see the no overlap piece. So I guess what I'm asking is, do you think, what time do the after-school kids generally come out if it's nice?
I'll be
Is it-
honest with you, last year, we were coming out later because there were so many parents out
Right.
there and I didn't feel it was safe.
Right,
I don't think I should have to do that to the kids.
Sure. But
This
do you-
year, we're usually out by 3:30 after our snack. But like I said, the issue that it is a really big issue is people coming from outside and coming in.
Right.
We have a lot of people with younger children.
Right. So
And
we-
I think that's the biggest issue. And, after having a few times of, well, why do I have to leave? Why do I have to leave? I'm friends with the mayor and things like that. It's like, no.
So do you think if maybe we had it clearly posted that the playground was closed, as Mr. Soto's is saying, from, school opening until 6 p.m., and there was just that small window between 3 and 3:15 where parents could just kind of not have to race off the playground and their kids could get a few minutes to play and then they leave, but that's posted too, that, the playground has to be cleared by 3:15.
I don't know if people would understand that.
Right.
I'll be honest, I don't know if people would understand that, and I think that's...
But I think the people that may be upset about it and want to at least have some time, it may at least give them, a little buffer.
Yeah, I mean...
So we can maybe
I
hopefully
can
have the best of both
understand
worlds.
that, but then I just ask for the support of saying,
Yeah.
when I have to go to people, that they have to leave.
Yeah, and I think, and
talking
I wouldn't even want you to be the one that would have to do that. If somebody wasn't leaving, that, the after school, whoever the, is.
And we did actually have the playground closed at one point. I think this was years ago when Matt Barbosa was principal. It was closed till 6 o'clock.
Right, and how did that go? And that,
We didn't have any
Right.
problems,
All right.
but I don't know if there was as much of an issue of the, people staying and the younger kids staying, and it was
Right.
probably, one of those things where
All right.
when we walked out.
right.
Thank you so much for your comments. We are going to bring it back. Nothing's going to happen for tomorrow, but there is a need, and we will address it in an appropriate manner. Thank you so much for your comments. Are there any other public comment?
Hi, this is Amina Magali, 327 Summit Place. I have a question, or rather concern, about the school closure, Irving Playground. And I seldom pick up my son, but when I do, it's a Friday, and last Friday, or a couple of weeks ago, I was just wondering about the safety of the kids coming out. I picked up my son and I picked up another kid. I was on the authorized list. And I was kind of happy to kind of get it out of there quickly because I had my special needs daughter in the car and it went smoothly. But in hindsight, I thought well, nobody really saw me take the other kid out, even though I signed up for him. I signed him out in the cafeteria. So I thought if we're going to enforce the closure, I think it would be a good idea to kind of fix those gates. They don't close really well. And maybe put some kind of secure lock on it, or have
Absolutely.
somebody stand there until that happens.
That would,
That's
that
all.
would need to be done.
And I
Absolutely.
like the overlap, but I hear the concerns, and they're both valid, so.
Yep.
Not sure what to do
Thank
about
you.
it.
Couldn't agree more about that gate. That gate has always been a,
Yes.
like, it just doesn't close.
Regardless of the fact.
It's clunky, yeah.
I've already addressed that matter with
So.
the facilities manager. Yeah, I already addressed that.
Perfect. Is there any other public comment? Seeing as there's no public comment, I would like a resolution to go into executive session at 6:30 on November 3rd
So moved.
at the middle school.
Second.
And a motion to adjourn.
Well, we had to do all in favor.
Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do that, your paper clips.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.